I remember
There
meaning
you
to
go.
comment on this, and never did. I look at the group route. Burn, I'm pretty sure you're the one that wrote this. I love how it's like you have a section for cities that are important, parentheses, relatively speaking.
Yeah.
They're important to someone, somewhere, I'm sure.
All cities are important to somebody. Namely, probably the people who live in those cities.
Namely.
Well, all of those cities are the ones that were from the black market stuff.
Oh, okay, I
last
see.
month's
Remember
Spencers.
all the like that went
Yeah.
that kind of is not all that important anymore because you guys are like, maybe we shouldn't work with the criminal enterprise.
Let's get a better sugar daddy. Hi, Perrin.
And on the other side, and then on the other thing, we're doing this fun little dimensional adventure. Speaking of, hello everybody.
Hello.
I'm just gonna tweet this stuff. Oh, whoops. Wow, way to go, Inferno. You know, you have to copy the link, not the title of the stream. That kind of makes things easier for people to go to. There we go. And I'll just retweet. And we'll get going. Any questions from last week, my fellow playerinos?
What time in the evening did we end the session on?
Late. Like, you went to see Dex, it was around 10:30. You would have got back at the Rhapsody around, say, around 11 o'clock.
Okay, never mind then. Because
around 11 o'clock.
I was asking.
Oh yeah, and then you had the Mackenzies invited you for dinner. So yeah, it's around 11, between 11 and midnight.
Yeah.
Midnight. Right. Where am I? What am I doing? I'm popping out things. I'm windowing things. I still only have one monitor, like a scrub. All right. Beauty. All right. Any other questions? What was that? What was that, Spiral?
So it's a cold world you live in with your one monitor.
Yeah. Well, Squeeze said BRB keep going, but I can't because I'm gonna recap things and then ask you what you guys want to do next, and that requires all players, right? Or otherwise, I'm just gonna be repeating myself. So we'll take a moment to answer any other questions from.
We could just say Squee dozed off while we decided. You know.
Yeah.
That's we out.
But that's, and I know it too as a player. You leave and you come back and you're like, what did I miss? What's going on? And then the GM has to repeat themselves anyway. So, you know what I mean? Okie dokie. No other questions?
No.
Right. No, sadly.
That's all right. You don't have to have any questions.
I know the next immediate step, but I'm like after sleeping. What then should we do?
So this was the general plan from last week. Okay, it was the Mackenzies invited you for dinner the next day, but you also asked Jalea, Yasmin, Ezex, and Basilisk to stake out that graveyard to see what the reaction is going to be, if the other side is going to take any steps, or if there's going to be any clues, because that graveyard is a disaster zone, right? And you already know from experience that they are very willing to kind of clean things up, so to speak. So you're sending your 4 companions to do that. While they're doing that, Dex Delaney is going to stop by the Rhapsody, and you guys are going to figure out the next step, right? Because Dex doesn't know about the invitation to the Mackenzies' mansion or anything like that, and he might have his own approach, right? There's been talk about trying to get the attention off of you and pinning it on Lawrence Carter, at least some of the stuff, some like kind of pinning some of these investigations on Lawrence Carter. That way you can kind of ease off the pressure. And obviously you also want to still try to acquire the golden statues, which I'll remind you of what you have left. You have the Sparrow, which is still believed to be in the position of Albert Sweet, owner of the Grand Quarry Mining Group, and apparently master to that necromancer you butted heads with. The octopus, which is in Donna Wright, that's the nurse that you met on the opening night, the one that's kind of rumored to have been a old beau or girlfriend or main squeeze of the Gin Baron, and also known to have some sort of gray market dealings. And then the fox, owned believed to be in the possession of Lawrence Carter. That's the radio host and announcer and radio actor that you also met, and actually did a little bit of business with as well, as Lavin and Ellie can attest to. The ones that you currently do have in possession are the turtle, the rhino, which both came by Frank Patterson. You have the bull, which you nimbly acquired from the Antiquarian Art Gallery, in which the Mackenzies run. And you also have the monkey now, which was taken from Eugene Neal's wife, Dorothy Neal, her tomb, just last session. Well, now I've got the recap on. Now we're still waiting for Squee.
Something occurred to me, by the way.
Oh, yeah, okay, well, what occurred to you?
We've been all talking about how, like, people should set up the fences in the Rhapsody and be prepared and all this stuff.
Yes, yeah.
We haven't encountered anything that gets hurt by non-holy weapons, so it's all really moot. Right?
Well, so far, yeah. So far, almost everything that well, with the exception of those thugs who had a bit of a scuffle, you had a scuffle with on your opening night, but those were just regular guys, you know. They were just little goons from Sharktooth. Anything really weird that you've come across, like those monstrosities in those rabbit masks at Patterson's home, and the undead that rose, and the spirits that were summoned in the graveyard they have been very vulnerable to your holy weapons.
Well, that is not saying that is completely useless to use normal weapons, at least for the malformed people that attacked the place. I remember pulling a person into parts with a car.
Yeah.
It just means that
so
they
far
might be
you
less
haven't come
effective.
across. Well, no, that's not true. The spirits that were summoned that tried to mess with your mind, they seem to be only hurt by those weapons. But even the undead monstrosities and whatnot, they had to be hacked to pieces. But that's that. Okay, now Lavin's gone because of Kid Aggro, but he'll be back soon too.
Okay.
Oh my God, we shouldn't have started streaming if I realized all the players are. I mean, okay, in freaking Spiral's defense though, you can't predict when a child is gonna like go nuts. You know,
burst in and start wrecking
tears,
the place.
or I just love how he calls it kid aggro. Like he's aggroed his child, and now he has to kite her. He has to kite her around the room until it reaches her bedroom, and then throw teddy bears at her until her HP goes down.
There's a lot of hellos in the chat, but I've always gotten to this weird point where I'm like, all right, I know the main thing. But then there's this weird thing about like time where we have to wait for the event, and there's this big gap that I could do anything in.
Yes.
I have no idea what to do.
All right, well,
I have an idea.
Sorry about that. I'm back.
We could do.
That's fine.
Welcome
You were
back.
back before Squee. I'm literally going to just wait a couple more minutes, and then I am going to go on without him, and I'm just going to refuse to repeat myself. It's just how that goes.
All right.
I have a quick question for you, though, Spyro. When your kid aggroes, do you like kite her? Do you kite her around, or like do you like lower her HP?
No, I DPS her with hugs and kisses.
Oh, okay, that's pretty effective. I guess. I DPS her. So, are you a glass cannon, or are you?
No, I'm a total
DPS?
tank.
You're a total
I'm
tank.
tank.
Okay, that's good. That's good. You need to be. Okay, and Squeeze back. Great, perfect. You were saying, Piff?
I'm just saying that like I know what I'm going to be doing what we're doing now. I know our particular plan. I know what I'm going to do when we get to that point, but there's this big gap of time that I have no idea what to do with.
Yeah, because you're going to have a gap between the morning and the evening. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So, I mean, you don't feel like you're compelled that you have to do something. We can just move time forward like we normally do. But I can't tell you what your character does, right? So, if you want to brainstorm with other players at that point, so be it. But we're going to go to brass tacks first and foremost. Now solid with the plan of having Jalea, Yasmin, Basilisk, and Ezex leave very early in the morning, borrowing one of the vehicles and driving out towards Shady Pines graveyard to kind of stake the place out. They have everything that they need of their own personal items, with the exception of Al loaning Yasmin his holy weapon blade. The one other thing, as the four of them get together, and Jalea does reinforce that she does want to participate. In fact, you would hear a comment, or perhaps she'd even say it directly to Al, that she's gotten to a point where she's tired of being passive and waiting for everything to go around her. This will give her a good chance of having some sense of control, and plus she's going to be with people that she trusts, 100%. But while they make their preparations, either very late at night or very early in the morning, I will say Yasmin will approach Patrick and ask if they can't borrow his camera as well. Because it's one thing to see and report and observe, but if they can gather evidence of something suspicious, that might be a good idea. Besides, Jalea has a special relationship, a special interaction with all technology, and it would give Jalea some more visual options as well. Because frankly, her helper robot, Mim, who is still cosmetically looking like a very wooden mannequin-like local of Velda City, is not the type of thing you take along if you want to be really quiet. It's more of a helper bot rather than a stealth bot. So the question is, Patrick, would you let her borrow your camera?
Yes, I would also probably switch the film inside.
Okay, switch the film to like a
Like
fresh roll.
reel, yeah.
A fresh roll. Okay, great. So she'll have 48 shots, a single roll. All is good. Okay, wonderful. And Yasmin will promise to take care of it. A little bit of time is taken to familiarize Jalea with the device. But interestingly enough, just by touching the device itself, she seems to have a very intricate and intuitive understanding of the device. All right. So, go ahead.
I was gonna say real quick. So Al would Al would fuss over Julia a lot, like make sure you have this, make sure you have that, this and that, but he would never once say don't go.
Okay. At first, Julia would take your fussing in relatively good stride, but the more and more you fuss over her, depending if you're ever going to back off or not, like if you see her starting to get agitated, like any sort of child gets agitated of their parent, especially their mother, fussing over them so much, would you back off?
Yeah,
With the subtle things, or pardon me?
Yeah. He would internalize it at that point.
Okay, well, there you go. Good. So, eventually you get a couple sighs of I know, or just a reminder that she was on her own for months and months looking for you, et cetera, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, with that in mind, I plan on just narratively passing by the night, going in the morning, have the NPCs leave very early in the morning to do their task, and then you're scheduled to meet Dex Delaney in the morning at the Rhapsody as well, to kind of put a final plan of action for the day before you meet with the Mackenzies. Now, before I move to that point, obviously, is there anything you guys want to take special note of, or anything you want to do overnight, or any conversations you might want to have? If not, no big deal. You're not obligated. I just want to give you the chance.
I guess Patrick would put down would probably get people very groggily, or at least anyone who may be around, whatever the mass of people may be.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I should probably ask who. This is a general, like, what should we do thing about a small matter. Who would want to be in this?
Sure, I'll be there.
Al's, unless asked, Al's going to be meditating to try and recoup. So.
Okay.
Well, Patrick did ask him. So.
Yeah. Oh, well then yeah. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. If Patrick does ask, he will be there. He's not going to be like, nope.
Yeah. He's asking, hey, can you come here for a sec? I need your opinion
Yeah.
on this, essentially.
Yeah, he would come. He would look very tired, but he'd be there.
Yep.
Lavin, would you? Oh, sorry. Did I just hear a yes from you too?
Yep.
Okay, cool. And the remaining NPCs that aren't preparing to take off early in the morning, I also want to make a small note that Yasmin kind of gives a very gentle yet firm reminder to Basilisk and Ezex that maybe they might want to take it easy tonight since she'll need them sharp in the morning, in which Ezex happily agrees, having a very good relationship with Yasmin. But you can kind of see Basilisk, he's not hostile, but he's kind of a like, tell me what to do type of thing after her back is turned, or like, I'm a grown adult, I can worry about myself. Do you want to engage in any other NPCs, Lee, August, Marlis Stotch, in this little meeting, or do you want just the powwow amongst the players, Piff?
I wouldn't mind the NPCs' interaction with this.
Sure. Okay.
So
I'll have them as I normally do in the big group meetings. I might have one or two of them voice something if it's akin to their character. But all right, go ahead. You have everyone who's able to come together to chat with you.
Evening, everyone. I am here to discuss really one thing. I wouldn't mind discussing more because it is quite a hectic few past days. He then slides a reel of film onto the desk. That is kind of a double-edged sword that we have here. We have evidence of the nice man who guided us around the museum that then died. But it definitely puts us at the place very close to his death.
I'm failing to see the double-edged part. To me, that just looks like something that could get us into trouble.
Blink would point up, and she says, well, if we've learned a lot about these folks, is that they're really into secrecy. And who knows, at some point, once we get enough information, or we feel secure enough, we might need to expose them for what they did, and the actual truth of everything. For example, this clearly shows that our interactions with this gentleman, he was still very much alive.
At a certain time, too.
Do we have any pictures of us leaving the museum with him still alive?
No.
Then I'm not sure how much that would help us, and
Even
if they push the issue.
even pictures of us being with him and he's alive, even if we have pictures of us leaving the museum while he's alive, neither of those things actually excuse us from the murder.
Yeah,
Because you
like,
could
to
just
me,
come back
this
after the fact.
This just pins us to the scene of the crime and the last ones who saw him alive. That to me sounds bad any way you look at it.
Yeah, the only thing I could see being useful in there is if we actually have something incriminating, belonging to the museum. I don't think a picture of us being there would be, something we'd want to release.
Well, I did take a few pictures around in the museum. And the only way this would help us if we wanted to investigate to see what happened, but at this point, I'm not quite sure if we would want to even guess. We have a lot more on our plate than usual.
Well, Alicia says, it's pretty obvious. I take it that stuff isn't indestructible. Let's just get rid of it, and then we don't have anything to worry about.
That's
Either
awfully
that,
permanent.
yeah, either that or what we could do, because we have to put the monkey in the room anyways, we could hide that in the room. Still have it
Agreed.
just in case.
We don't know what will happen in a few days. There might be some way this plays out where it's important.
Yeah.
Yep.
Lee pipes up. He says, one thing you should kind of keep in mind from everything that you've told me and everything we've experienced so far, it's clear that mundane things aren't happening here in this dimension, right? Which means you came across a guy who could raise the dead, magic, which means there are people in here that are familiar with magic as well. Just a little reminder that magic item of Patrick's, his little backpack, isn't a vault. It's secret, and it is unknown, and I agree, right now it's the best place, but anyone who has any understanding of magic, I mean, Patrick figured that thing out. I'm sure someone else could too. And then everything is in one place. So just keep an eye on that backpack, I guess.
In your experience, is there any way for them to break into it without the backpack?
Yeah, he says, absolutely. I'm a shifter, and I'm not the only shifter in the Megaverse. Shifters are experts at traveling between dimensions. In fact, sometimes we can even sense weak points in between worlds. That golden room is itself its own small dimension. Now, it was made with powerful magic, that I know. The House of the Golden Places isn't something that, they don't do parlor tricks, but I bet you with enough time, I could figure a way into there if I ever wanted to, which I don't. But if I can do it, imagine if there are more powerful, more skilled, and more crafty shifters out there.
That's really good to know, actually. I was, I guess, mistakenly believing that it was safer than it is.
I'm going to say if somebody's going to do that, they're probably not there for a roll of film.
Probably.
True. And they'd have to really, I mean, out of all the possibilities of what an object could be, an interdimensional space, it doesn't broadcast that, you know what I mean? You'd have to slip up, make them aware of it, just like any sort of secret, right? If no one knows about it, then it's as good as anything. To that, Blink nods. So I just wanted to kind of just give you a heads up in regards to that. Magic is powerful. Magic has rules, but like many things, rules can be broken. Yeah, Tom?
Out of character, correct me if I'm wrong, but the backpack needs a keyword, right?
Yep.
To be used?
To open up the portal that the backpack makes, yes.
Yes.
Okay. So somebody couldn't just grab the backpack and immediately use it. They'd have to know the keyword.
No, they'd have to research it. They'd have to learn from it, do some lore things, or they'd have to torture people who know about it and then get it that way.
Okay.
You want my opinion? I say develop it, see if there's anything useful on it, hide it. Because we don't actually know 100% what each of those pictures are, do we? Do we have previews? Like, what kind of film are we talking about?
No, you don't have preview. Well,
right.
No, you don't have previews. The film has to be developed. And now here's the tricky thing about that. I'm just saying as a GM. You have a lot of tools and resources in the Transformed Rhapsody and the Behemoth. But you do not have a dark room or tools in which to develop film. Patrick could figure out how to do that because of his skills, because of his photography skill and his not archaeology, but anthropology skills. So he'd kind of get a basic understanding of it. But you guys would need to find a place that has absolutely no light and buy the supplies for it, or risk having it being developed somewhere else.
Was Codex alive back then?
No, but there were definitely film studios. Actually, interestingly enough, at that time there weren't like photo studios, right? But there was a lot of independent film studios and photographers. Photography at this point was very much like a do-it-yourself type of thing. It was a very entrepreneurial exercise. So if you had pictures, typically the only people who took pictures are people who knew how to develop it. And if for whatever reason you didn't know how to, you had a good friend or someone who would do it for you, right?
Makes sense. Otherwise, how would you have a camera?
Yeah, because back then you would hire a photographer. He would take the pictures and develop the film and give you the pictures afterwards, right?
Makes sense.
You wouldn't be at a point where you take the pictures and someone else develops it.
I would say that unless we come across some information where developing said film will be advantageous to us, I would feel that it's best for Patrick to not waste his time or effort when he could be resting or preparing.
Yeah, agreed. I thought we'd be able to develop them here. I hadn't considered that.
Yeah,
agreed.
But out of character, Piff, that might be something you might want to do between the time gap, is to research what chemicals are needed, find out where you can purchase them, and make yourself a dark room. That's one option. But if you agree with the rest of them and be like, this is not a high priority, then don't worry about it. But there you go. Anything else you wanted to bring up during the meeting, or anything else you want to discuss in regards to the photos?
Patrick gives us a small yawn and goes, "Well, that was it for me. Besides the rest of the reel, this is kind of useless to me in most cases."
I definitely think that we should have another meeting concerning tonight, but maybe when we're all less tired.
So in the morning, then?
Yeah, we got to figure out what our goals are. But yeah, tired minds make bad plans.
Yep.
All right. Meeting over?
Yep.
Okay.
Would anyone mind... I know that we just discussed maybe putting it away in the golden... Is the golden room open at this point?
Accessible? When did you use it last?
To put away the notes.
Yeah. And you did you do it this morning, or did you do it the previous morning? Problem is that you've had a very eventful 3 days. It's hard.
Yeah. I think we did it this morning.
Yeah,
I think so too. Yeah. I think so too. I think we started last session before the graveyard in the morning when I rehashed what was in the notes, and so you retrieved them and put them in the room. Yeah, so you're gonna have to wait till the morning again, just before Dex shows up around 8 o'clock, before you can access it again.
That might be better anyway, because with our next meeting, we might need to take or put something in the golden room as well. Like,
yeah, there you
there's
go.
An item we want to bring. Yeah.
Perfecto. All right. Am I good to time skip then to the morning?
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. The night, although Blink and a few others kind of stagger their sleep, still kind of on high alert, and Blink has been doing a very good job kind of keeping rotation. Obviously, your four friends, Jalea, Yasmin, Basilisk, and Ezex, get to bed early, and they do rise up early too, 5:30 in the morning. And they're out of the place before 6 a.m., but while it's still a little dark outside. But they're taking care of their thing, and when or if they come back, I will rehash what they report, what they may or may not have seen. They're off doing their thing. The rest of the folks, specifically Bear, Alicia, Blink, they stagger out their sleep just to make sure there's still someone alert, because you never know what might happen, all right? But they manage to get a good rest as well. Sure enough, in the morning, after you guys have a little something to eat, get cleaned up, change of clothes, all that good stuff, sure enough, early for Dex at least, 8 o'clock in the morning, you would hear a knock at the door, and we'll say Bear lets Mr. Delaney in. with a bit of a thank you. And for as tempting as it is, I won't play the Dex Delaney music for now, and we'll save it for another meeting of his.
Okay.
But Dex seems to be in he seems to be his usual self, dressed in a new shirt and new pair of pants, but same jacket and same hat. And the bombs that you might have dropped him last night appear to be sinking in, because his eyes are clear and sober, as the majority of you, we'll say, gather around some of the dining tables around the Rhapsody Lounge. He would start by lighting himself up a cigarette, bringing over an ashtray, and asking, "So is everyone present and accounted for? No mysterious disappearances over the night?"
Would it be safe that Patrick then walks over and sees if Mila's around?
Yeah, Mila's around. She's babysitting Frank, or maybe Frank is babysitting her. The two of them kind of feed off each other, so to speak. They both entertain and kind of protect each other for a bit. There's some conversations, some talks about renovating the crawl space and all this other stuff. But I'll save that for Kriana when she returns as to exactly what she wants to do. But for right now, Ellie's NPC as well.
Okay.
Yeah, she hasn't disappeared. She's not dead. No one's dead.
Great.
Dex looks around.
Patrick stretches and says, I checked. Looks like everyone is around.
That's good.
Patrick would also have checked the film this morning, being his usual paranoid self.
Got you. Well, film's still there.
Alright, cool.
Yep. Dex nods and he says, after we're done talking, I got to drinking just a little bit more. It helps me think. And I was thinking there was a lot of postulating last night about possible steps. I got one thing that might leak into the lead that I was following before you and I had that powwow in that back alley. The nurse, Donna Wright. I've been talking with her sister-in-law. I have a pretty good rapport with her, right? Nothing major, very subtle, very how do you do. She doesn't really know my true intentions or anything like that. We were talking before about shifting the focus away from us and towards someone else. This might be a good opportunity. We all know that Lawrence Carter, that radio star, he's mixed up in this somehow. And we also know he has one of them statues, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, this is my suggestion, and feel free to add in your input. But the thought's pretty basic to the point. I talk with her, and I let it slip, real casual like, that Lawrence Carter is looking to purchase that statue of that octopus from Donna Wright, and he's hired me as a go-between. See, big, fancy celebrities like that, they tend to do things. They tend to get other people to do their work for them, right? And I could spin some part of, I've done this for a few other people before, which is why he would have hired me, right? And money's money. And maybe if I let this leak to the sister-in-law, she'll go talk to Donna, and this could give us an opportunity to do one of two things. The first and most obvious is it might be enough to get a face-to-face with Donna Wright, and we could have ourselves a nice frank talk with the woman, or come up with some sort of deal, or at least feel out her intentions, or maybe even where the statue might be. We could also use that possible meeting as a distraction away from her, and have those with stickier fingers and less morals to Oh, do what you did over at the antiquarian. Minus the murder, which you didn't do, right?
Patrick, with his usual morning weary eyes, turns to him. No. I'd almost like to know myself just to figure it out. I can guess, but I have more things to focus on at the moment.
So wait, no to the whole plan or no to the distraction part?
No to the murder part.
Oh, I see. You didn't kill. Yes. Well, I figured you didn't. I mean, I have a hunch.
Al kind of puts a hand on Patrick's shoulder and he says, when Patrick first wakes up in the morning, he has a very straightforward line of thinking. You asked?
Straightforward's good.
Would you be possible or be able to maybe drop a hint that this man's desire for the item is a bit more than normal? Like you've seen people that want items, but this man, he wants it bad and he wants it fast.
Sure, I'll say that he's willing to pay an astronomical amount of money for it too. That would probably get the point across, don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
I think that might not be a bad idea at all. I mean, what harm can come from it?
It's a worthy lead. So this is what we'll do. I'll go talk with the sister-in-law. Make this leak out nice and subtle-like. And then wait for the sister-in-law or Donna Wright herself to contact me. When she does so, I'll arrange a private meeting, but perhaps that meeting won't be as private as I might have otherwise imply. I'll let you know where and when the meeting takes place, and either you can come along and be in the shadows, so to speak, or you can just sit up at the table with me. Or you can completely leave it up to me. It's kind of your call.
Well, actually, you haven't heard, have you? We had interesting visitors last night at the bar.
Oh, yeah? I'm taking it wasn't one of the sailors or one of the miners that came down from the mountain.
It was the owners of the antiquarian.
Oh, yeah? They drinking their sorrows away at the Rhapsody?
More like they wanted to meet us, ask us a few questions, invite us to dinner.
Dinner, huh?
Yep. They apparently were pretty pushy trying to talk to us with our friends. Once we showed up, though, they were all smiles and pleasant words. Asked us about us being at the museum the day before their employee was killed, which we answered mostly honestly. We told them that we were interested in a tour and we had spoken with their employee about setting one up, but that was the last we'd ever heard.
Well, says Dex, finishing off his cigarette. Sounds to me that I might have some more competition. Apparently, the hoity-toity Mackenzies have now become private eyes. It's interesting that they wouldn't leave that to the police or a private investigator. God knows they got the money enough to hire a whole fleet of them. That itself is pretty telling.
Well, they also invited us to dinner tonight, and I'll be honest with you, they creep me out. I have a feeling that they don't intend to simply have a nice meal.
Well, he says, I wasn't invited along, so I guess you could always say no.
True, but it's also a very good opportunity for us. Yeah. So my thoughts are we're probably going to be preparing for that for a better part of the day. Might be best to leave this to you unless anyone else thinks something else would be better.
Well, he says, I doubt. He gives a bit of a chuckle and he says, subtly putting things out in the grapevine doesn't mean you get an instantaneous response usually. I don't intend to hear from the sister-in-law or Donna Wright until at least the next day, or maybe the day after, or maybe the day after that, right? Let the idea percolate in Donna Wright's mind. I'm sure there'll be a lot of back and forth with her. If, by chance, I do strike a nerve and they want an immediate meeting, perhaps this evening as well, then yeah, I'll go on my own accord and I'll just simply question Donna as friendly as I can. And he gives a big gleaming white smile. I can be pretty friendly, especially to dames. But my word advice, and take this from a guy who's been working by himself and has gone to some very, very scary places. And for a moment, Dex's gaze goes off to the distance for a moment before he shakes himself away. Never, always let someone know where you are, what time, and whereabout in town. That way, if you disappear or you need help, there's someone who can have your back. That's the... He shrugs. He says, maybe once I'm done with this whole private eye thing, maybe I'll open up a opinion column in the Velda City Gazette. He gives a bit of a smirk. Well, as he ruffles his coat a little bit, he says, sounds like we have ourselves a bit of a game plan, and both of us may have some very interesting meetings in the very near future. Anything else we want to jaw on about, or shall I leave you to your preparations?
No, we have some of our friends keeping an eye on the graveyard in case they try to clean up things there.
Very good idea.
We haven't heard back from them yet, so.
All right. Well then, he says, and as he stands up, he eyes over towards the bar, and he says, where's the bald guy and that short fella?
At the graveyard.
Oh, I guess someone else is going to have to be a bartender for me. We haven't finalized payment, but I wouldn't mind a bourbon on the rocks before I go. He eyes you all expectantly. Oh, okay, Lavin. Ah, there we go.
Yeah, Al doesn't know what bourbon is.
I'll have what he's having.
Oh, great. Dex says, I hate drinking alone. He gives a bit of a smirk and clinks his glass against Lavin's before he puts it down the hatch.
Mr. GM.
Yes, Mr. Clare.
How many hours of rest did we get before this meeting?
Midnight. I'd say you get to bed around midnight, even after Patrick's meeting. And I'd say an hour to prep, like getting cleaned up, getting something to eat, etc., before Dex shows up. So I'd say 7 hours.
All right. Al's going to stretch, and he's going to say, does anyone need me for the next 4 hours or so?
NPCs don't.
No.
Well, I was going to do a few of my own errands, but I'm not quite sure. You seem busy.
I expended a lot of energy last night. I could still use some time to refill this, and he'll touch his necklace. Or more to the point, this is full. I could use some time to recover from that.
Nope.
Well, there you go.
Nope, you don't need me, or nope, you're not going to let me do it.
No, he doesn't need you.
Got it.
You're not allowed.
You know how Lavin feels about magic. Okie dokie.
Yeah, Al will go back up and meditate more.
All right. The next scene I have in mind won't be for at least a few more hours. Is there, once again, don't feel obligated. We can just put it off in narration ether zone. But is there anything you guys want to do until, say, around noon, 1 o'clock?
Patrick would like to, at the very least, study up on how film is done at this period.
Perfect. All right. We'll say you head over to a local library, the same one that you got the newspaper clippings from, or newspaper articles from. Yeah, I would say in a couple hours. You don't even have to do a skill check. You have very high skills in chemistry and photography. You would be able to get the information that you need of the chemicals and the procedures in which to make a photographic bath. If you wish to purchase said chemicals, there are several suppliers, in which Kodak is one of them. But they are sold in specialty stores, and they're not cheap. If you don't have to do this right away, but this is for when you do need to do it. We'll say it takes 3 hours of time for you to adequately use your streetwise skill to find a supplier, and you'd get all your chemicals, everything you need, even stuff to like tape up windows to make a dark room, all supplies, and it would cost all totaled $120.
Oh my.
Yes.
I don't think we have that.
You most certainly do.
We do.
Did anybody write down how much you get from the Rhapsody each night?
We have 277 group funds.
Okay.
So we can just get that.
Ooh, but he brings up a good point. I'm not sure if we wrote down how much we get generally on each night, because that would go up.
We didn't record last night's, but we recorded
No,
the previous
you didn't
2
record
nights.
last night's. Okay. So last night was a pretty good night. You got, and because Ezex and Basilisk kind of behaved themselves, less things were broken.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on, let me just randomly determine it then. I was gonna make a whole story about because Alicia wasn't there, drunk, blah blah blah, showed up, but it'll be easier if I do this. $70. I made $70 in profit last night.
Wow. At
So
some
now you have
point,
270.
Al might comment. Actually, at some point, Al would probably comment to Alicia if we ever hang up our adventuring hat and settle down in one place, opening up a bar doesn't starting to sound like a not bad idea.
Alicia would give a remark, and she said, well, it's a really good idea when you don't have to do anything to make one. She says, when we showed up, this place was already here. And from my inkling of all of our belongings upstairs and in that parkade across the back alley, this is the ship, as crazy as that sounds. So if we're just making a bar, she says, there's a lot of work that goes into this. And we kind of just fell into it, which is still kind of weird.
Al raises an eyebrow and he just goes, oh, way to kill the romance of the dream there.
She says, I'm not much of a romantic type.
Al shrugs. I would assume that would probably be when he was still tired before he went to sleep, so.
Sure. When he was still not asleep, you mean?
Yeah, right.
Okay, first, when he was still asleep, he's dream-walking and dream-talking, apparently.
Sleepwalking Al.
All right, give me just 2 seconds. I gotta just grab a drink of water. My throat's getting a little parched. I'll be right back.
Me too.
Okay, great.
Drink break.
I incorporated the $70 into everybody's totals now. We, as a group, have $319, so... I do believe that it's just me. Woo! So how's chat doing?
All right. Hello?
Hey.
Oh. Everyone else went to drink, huh?
Yep. I upgraded
idea.
everybody's group funds and all of that and split it up.
Groovy. Groovy.
And Lavin just pocketed that $50. So
Yes, he did.
yeah, so he has $93 on
his
himself.
$50 now.
Yep.
I'm back.
Welcome back. Just waiting for the other two.
Those slackers. How long does it take to get a drink? I mean, really?
I think they're doing more than just drinking. Or getting a drink, at least.
Oh. Well, that's okay then.
I'm assuming they also took a moment to take a bathroom break.
I probably should have done that.
That's all right. Oh, crap. Oh, crap. I shouldn't have... I'm sorry, but I can't divulge the information about my client's secret illegal account. Oh, crap. I shouldn't have said it was for a client. Oh, crap. I shouldn't have said it was a secret. Oh, crap. I certainly shouldn't have said it was illegal. Oh, it's too hot today.
The hell's that from?
That's from The Simpsons.
No.
It's amazing.
I'm way out of touch with my Simpsons.
Oh, this is like old school good Simpsons, not
No, but I mean,
15 years.
I haven't actually seen an episode of The Simpsons in about 9 years.
Oh, that's almost you and me both.
After the 90s, it got less intelligent and more...
More, here's a celebrity.
Yeah.
Here's a thing that's going on in pulp culture. Let's try to spoof on it. Anywho, let's not talk about The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Rifty Riffs. Piffy, you're back, right?
Yeah.
Yee. Groovy. Okay. So, am I good to move ahead to the next point?
I think
how
so.
much was
wait,
the-
I
how
guess
much
we
was the
should
dark
probably
room?
just say, yes, we have purchased the things. Is that okay with everyone?
Yes.
Sure.
All right.
It was 120, right?
120.
I will just say briefly, Lavin would spend the time examining the engines of the cars they've been driving because they'd be somewhat unfamiliar.
Sure. That's a good idea. Do you have a mechanical skill?
Yeah, I have automotive mechanics.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's do something a little special in regards to that. I want you to go ahead and roll that skill. I would like you to make it harder by 15, since this is... there's some familiar parts to the engine, but some of them are like really big and blocky, and what the heck is that thing type of deal. Let me know how much you succeed or
I think
fail.
I did that right.
Mhm.
Succeed by 27.
Yep. So 75, and you got an 8.
I have 60 skill and then 15 harder, right?
Yeah, 60 skill and then 15 harder. No, see.
No, you did it right.
You rolled an 18. Yeah.
Yeah, I did it right. Because it would be a 45. 18 out of 45.
I'll never understand this negative thing, honestly. I just don't understand why you don't roll a D100 and see what you get and compare it to your skill, but that's okay. That's fine. That's just me. So, okay, you succeed by 27. All right.
Yes, I do.
You spend a good portion of the morning. Obviously, you can't examine the one vehicle that Jalea and crew left out in, but there's still 3 others in the back lot. And you take it around there, and you can see that none of them have been touched, but they're all very, very clean and up to date. You do know that Jalea has been examining these herself, but you have perhaps you have a different approach than her. Perhaps you've spotted something that she doesn't. But on one of the vehicles, the one that you've been driving around the most, you see a way to enhance it. Nothing major, right? But a little tinker there, a little oil change there, a little adjustment there. And you are able to make it go 20 miles per hour faster. And we'll say it gives you, while you're driving around, it gives you, Lavin, just you, a plus 10 bonus to your driving skill when driving that vehicle.
Okay.
Yeah. Due to the familiarity with the engine and your own little, tinkering that you've done with it.
Gotcha.
Work for you?
Sure.
Works for me. Okay, good to continue?
Yeah.
And the rest of you?
I'm good.
Yeah. I'm good.
All right, Al's sleeping. They're out getting chemistry supplies. Okay, beautiful. At 11:37, you hear a vehicle pull into the back of the Rhapsody itself, and out steps Jalea, Yasmin, Mim, Basilisk, and Ezex, all seemingly unhurt, but especially Yasmin and Jalea. I know they all look pretty excited. They quickly gather everyone together in a secure place, so up on the second floor around by where the kitchen is. And Jalea is pretty much the main voice piece for what happened. She explains that they left early in the morning, they dressed in appropriate clothes, and they followed your instructions, and they drove over to this graveyard. They parked the vehicle quite a bit away into the bush and left Mim there as a security measure in case anyone noticed it and came looking. Jalea has a special link with Mim and is able to intuitively know if like an alarm goes off or something happens. The rest of them took their time to case out the graveyard and the surrounding area. They came to a conclusion that infiltrating the graveyard itself would probably not be the best idea for several reasons. The first is if they were ever caught, they would maybe lay blame for what happened. Secondly, although there are a few small bushes and landscape trees, it's nothing that especially a small group of people could really blend into. Thirdly, and most importantly, the area outside the graveyard entrance itself is very heavily wooded and thatched. And the road leading up to it is this small little dirt road. Therefore, they decided to spread out a little bit and monitor and case the front of the graveyard itself, because anyone who's approaching it would have to drive up in a vehicle because it's so far out of the city. No one's going to just be walking there, right? And if they're entering the graveyard, they have to come out during that graveyard. Basilisk was set on a perimeter search. Jalea and Yasmin were a little bit back into the bush. And small Ezex and Yasmin kind of gives him like a good attaboy gesture to his shoulder. He snuck up a little bit closer, stayed really low and really quiet to see if he is able to spot or, more importantly, hear anything, because he's got great ears. Jalea was on the camera to take photos, and Yasmin was there to observe any sort of details. In addition, she also transcribed some things that Ezex managed to pick up. And these are the events in which happened as they case things out. Just before 7 o'clock in the morning, a single vehicle drove up the dirt road towards the graveyard. Wait, just before I continue this long-ass story, everyone can hear me, right? I haven't disconnected or anything?
Yes,
No,
everyone can hear you.
Okay, good. Okay. Just before 7 o'clock in the morning, a single lone truck drove up the road towards the front of the graveyard. It parked nearby the entrance, and shakingly, a single middle-aged man, he looked to be around late 40s or perhaps early 50s, in a pair of overalls, a simple pair of shirts, some work boots, got out. He was first caught aghast at the damage to the gate at the front, and soon disappeared inside of the graveyard itself. 8 minutes later, Yasmin records, he reemerged. He looked pale, and in fact, it appears that he had a little bit of vomit clinging to his overalls. Near the front of the gate is a small check booth in which there is a phone. He shakily went over to the phone, went to pick up. He started dialing, but then, suddenly, he hung up the phone. He got outside. He paced around back and forth, and he lit himself up a cigarette. He then reached for his wallet and took out a scrap of paper. He continued to pace back and forth, finishing his cigarette. He then went back into the booth, picked up the phone, and it was clear he was reading a number off the scrap of paper he took from his wallet. He placed a call, and at this point, EZEX was still getting into place. However, he did hear the gentleman say, "You have to come here. It's very, very serious. You asked me to call you, and here I am." He then hung up the phone. 23 minutes later, another car drives up. This one is very, very out of place. Very suave, very rich, very streamlined. Gentleman gets out of the vehicle, and Yasmin gives a bit of a smirk. Ever since you folks were hunting down who owns these statues, a lot of names were thrown out. And I pride myself in wanting to be fully in control and fully aware of, the situation that we're in. So I can say with absolute certainty, the silver-haired individual who came out of that vehicle was Albert Sweet. I've seen some photos in newspapers. Look around for him. He has his face in a lot of places, and that was definitely him. Pretty tall, looked to be in his late 50s, a full head of hair, but it's all just complete and utter gray. Dressed very well as well, especially for how early in the morning it was. All in black, a suit and the whole thing. Sweet arrived at the scene, spoke with the graveyard for a few minutes, and then entered the graveyard itself. 3 minutes later, both he and what I'm now assuming is the groundskeeper or the person who owns the place or runs the place got out. Yasmin says that Albert Sweet seemed visibly upset. Where the groundskeeper seemed sick and afraid, Albert Sweet almost seemed enraged. He tried to keep it pretty well with the groundskeeper, and EZEX heard a lot of remarks about a horrible tragedy, sickening display. And he assured the groundskeeper that he would take care of it. He goes over to the phone by the checkpoint. This is Albert Sweet. And he picks up a call. EZEX hears a name, Arthur Green. And there's a request from Sweet asking to send a police investigator, one that he trusts with his life, out to Shady Pines graveyard. EZEX also hears Albert Sweet haggling with the person on the other end, talking about a policeman's ball, talking about donations, talking about new patrol cars. He hangs up the phone. He speaks with the groundskeeper for a few minutes, assures him that the police are on their way, and he goes back to the Sweet goes back to the checkpoint. He makes 2 other phone calls, but these are very direct. Simply come to Shady Pines right away. Sweet instructs the groundskeeper to place a closed no trespassing sign in front of the graveyard gate, the one that's still on its hinges. After that, Sweet sends this groundskeeper, this employee, away. Sure enough, that truck goes down the hall. Albert Sweet then later writes something on a long piece of paper and posts it underneath the closed no trespassing sign. He waits for approximately 30 minutes. At this point, I can't give you a specific time because we had a small scare. The groundskeeper apparently pulled over to the side of the road and vomited yet again. And when he did so, Basilisk, he almost came across the hidden car, which had Mim in it. Basilisk, however, mimicking the sound of a bird, distracted the man long enough to pull his attention away from the car and return to his own vehicle to drive away. At this point, 2 other figures arrive. Both of them in swanky cars just like Albert's Sweet. Out from one of them steps a gentleman she definitely does recognize, a gentleman you all met and she pointed out when you first arrived in this dimension and first arrived at the Rhapsody. The mayor, Paul Hill. The other person, who didn't drive herself, got out of the back of a long, dark vehicle, and she was a very unfamiliar woman. All Yasmin can say for sure is that she dressed very plain, and she looked ancient, like she was in her mid-90s or maybe 100 years old. Almost every bit of her skin was wrinkled up. But what was very interesting, and it came to pass even sooner, a little bit later on, but when she emerged from her vehicle, when she took a few steps away, she walked like she was old and frail and hunched over. As soon as she was out of line of eyesight of her driver, her body posture changed considerably. She moved vigorous and sprightly, like she was 20 years old or even 15. The 3, this old woman, the mayor Paul Hill, and Albert Sweet, then entered the graveyard together. 33 minutes later, they reemerged at the front. And at this point, Yasmin pulls out a small notepad. She flips it over and she says, a lot was said at this point. So Ezek's great ears, not the best memory. So I had him transpose everything he heard and I would write it down so we knew exactly what was said. She says, this was the conversation that Ezek's picked up. The woman says, our current approach is unacceptable. To this, the mayor says, of that we are all agreed. Sweet says, whoever is after Neil's glory is powerful, impatient, and brutal. We must flush them out post haste. Paul Hill says, forget convention, forget purpose. They should be killed. Sweet asks, should we wake the torpid anathema? Quickly, the old woman snaps, no. And the mayor says, absolutely not. They will be displeased with us, and we should only be roused as a last resort. The old woman says, "We have several leads, both through Velda's underworld and high society, and there are several promising leads as well." Sweet asks, "No word of the recluse?" The mayor replies, "No. His place was searched. Wherever he is, his statues are with him, and whoever he is working for." Sweet then replies, "He was not thought to be a problem before. Something got him riled up. Something sparked the old fool." In which the mayor says, "I think it's the 5. I truly do. This started right after they arrived." The old woman quickly cuts him off and says, "Thinking isn't good enough. Besides, they are under the thumb of Sable's guardians. To strike at them, we must know for certain to prevent any future unpleasantness." Sweet then says, "For now, then, we have to redouble our efforts." The old woman replies, "The shapeshifter won't be a problem, but the other. I'll make sure she knows the consequences of failure." To which the mayor says, "While you're doing that, I'll remind the Mackenzies of those same consequences." The old woman asks, "And how about you, Sweet?" In which Albert Sweet replies, very boldly, "I will die before it is taken. I would rather destroy the statue than lose it." The old woman brushes him off and says, "Speak not of such stupidity. If all precious things were destroyed out of fear, we would have nothing of value left in this world." There is a long pause, and it is clear that Sweet and the old woman glare at each other for a little bit, in which Sweet finally says, "Green said he would send a trusted man within the hour. I think it's time that you need to leave. Paul and I can take it over from here." In which the old woman agrees. She then returns to her vehicle, departs, and 20 minutes later, a middle-aged detective arrived. He was in a civilian car, not a police car, Yasmin says. Apparently, the Paul Hill and Albert Sweet took some time to explain to this gentleman, explain to him of the horrors of what happened at the graveyard and how politically sensitive this is. They say that it looks like something satanic or wicked happened and a very sick mind harmed their trusted employees. They're speaking to him privately because they understand that this gentleman can do his job, can find out the perpetrators, can gather evidence, but will not blab to other people in the department or to the public at large. The mayor says that what he's going to see is enough to send people into a panic, in which Sweet says, "As owner of this graveyard, I want to make sure my name, my reputation isn't tainted by this." After a little bit more cajoling, the detective is convinced, and he and the other 2 gentlemen enter the graveyard. When they emerge, Ezex hears the mayor, Paul Hill, instruct the detective that he should avoid all his usual channels of investigation and just report all his findings and conclusions directly to Chief Green. Paul Hill does say that he should be confident in that because although Arthur Green is now the chief of police, he is also an excellent investigator. In fact, he was the one who took down the Gin Baron. And the mayor is certain that Arthur Green himself can find the perpetrator of this heinous act as well. The detective also looks a little green around the gills, so to speak, after emerging from the graveyard. And Yasmin reports, soon after that, Arthur Green and Albert Sweet, Paul Hill, the mayor, and Albert Sweet leave the graveyard. The detective stays there for a few more hours before departing as well. They waited around for another half hour, and then they returned here, back at their Rhapsody. Yasmin gives a small, sharp little nod out at all of that. Closes her notepad.
Wow.
What do we know about the mayor?
Sorry, what was that, Spyro?
Well, Lavin would say, what do we know about the mayor?
Yasmin gives a bit of a shrug. She says, all I know is that he's the mayor himself. I haven't really dug into him. Frankly, he wasn't really on my radar. Sure,
Yeah.
he showed up here at the Rhapsody, but there was a lot of highfalutin types. I just figured he was a politician rubbing shoulders with everyone. I didn't know he was involved in any of this.
I wonder what they mean by Green taking down the gym baron. I mean, I assume obviously he made the arrest, but everyone seems to be under the impression that we did it. Maybe they're trying to pin it on us instead of taking credit for it for some reason?
Marlis nods. If you're the supposed vigilante group, I'm sure the police would take credit for taking down the gym baron, rather than saying it was vigilantes.
Plus, it sounds like we have relations with him, so we might have tipped him off for the arrest or something like that.
But my point is, why would they say in private that Green took him down when they know it was us?
Well, they said it to the detective, Yasmin reminds Al. So maybe they're trying to convince the detective that Arthur Green was this big, noble hero. And not a corrupt cop, which he very obviously is.
Right. Okay, all right. Makes more sense to me. Well, any idea who the Guardians of Sable are that we are under the thumb of?
No idea.
At this, Yasmin and every other NPC around this table is completely stumped.
If I had to place a guess, I'd say Miss Johnson, because that actually fits a little bit better than her being involved in this whole, statues thing.
I had similar thoughts. Interesting. And you have photos of them being there together?
Julia nods, and she puts the roll of film on the table, and she says, I took pictures of every single person going in and out of there, and I managed to get their faces too. It was really handy, actually. I was able to look through the lens itself and see it very similar to when I see through Mims's eyes. I got them, yeah, for sure.
We gotta find out who that old woman is.
Yeah. She says, don't know anything about her either.
What do you think happens if we find some young, idealistic cop and give him these photos, and not even if we don't give him the notes, because that's not something that we could convince people of, but we give him the photos of these people at this graveyard at this time.
Why not just go right to Green, since we seem to have a relationship with him?
Because Green, and Inferno, unless I'm misunderstanding, because Green's corrupt.
In our favor.
Yeah, he might see that's the thing about corrupt cops, and you've come across a few of them in this campaign as well, is that they don't necessarily, if you're corrupt, it really doesn't mean you're loyal. So maybe he's helping a bunch of sides, maybe he's helping you, the Furious Five, maybe he's helping out. And here's the funny thing too, and I'm going to say this because there's a bit of a logic behind this too. He might be just doing favors for Albert Sweet, not knowing who Albert Sweet really is. Yeah. He might be doing things for the mayor because he's the freaking mayor, you know? Right. So he's clearly, see, this is the thing. He might be a patsy, he might be a corrupt cop, or he might be in on this as well.
Right. My thinking was, and not that that's not a bad idea, my thinking was there's a few ways we could approach this. We could go straight to him, see what he has to say. We could leak this, like I said, to an idealistic cop who would, the kind of person who hates corruption in the police force and might make a big stink with something like this.
With Cyber Knight, says Alicia.
Well, there's probably one in every
city.
What are they called, Patrick? Like a group of police unit, organization.
Back home, yeah.
force?
Sure. It's probably one in every force. The
We
question
should,
is, would that help us?
Dex probably knows who the old lady is.
Probably, yeah.
Might want to just show him a picture first. Or even maybe a description, but I don't know, that's a little tougher.
Yeah.
This information opens up a lot of possible avenues for us, which, by the way, thank you, all of you, so much. This is disturbing, definitely, but better than being naive.
Mm-hmm. You wanted information, I guess, and we got a whole plethora of it. But, yeah, it's clear they're going to cover up. Oh, and after they left, Ezek's crawled up and read the note. It's some long-form note from Sweet to people, bereaved folks that want to visit the graveyard. And it says that it's closed because of the front gate. They're doing some necessary renovations, and they have to be very careful because they don't want to disturb the eternal sleep of their loved ones. And because of that, for the next few days, the graveyard's going to be closed for all visitors.
You know, I'm a little surprised Sweets shows up himself to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I would have expected a middleman,
It
an
means
underling.
that we're really getting to them.
Yeah.
Certainly, eventually, at a certain point, when your underlings are failing you, you have to step in and deal with it directly.
Yep, says Basilisk. If there's one thing I've learned in my life, is that the best way to make people get people to make mistakes is to piss them off. They get emotional. They stop thinking clear.
Yasmin, what was that name they asked if they were going to wake up, and everyone immediately said not to?
She looks through her notes and she says, "Oh yeah, this.
The anathema.
Yeah. Should we wake the torpid anathema?" And they were all very well. Sweet wanted to wake up the torpid anathema, and the other two said absolutely not. They were very, very vehement about that. They said something about only using them as a last resort.
Patrick, does that name ring any bells? Do you know anything like that?
All right, Jim. I'm going to guess a no.
Hey, roll lore. You never know.
All right.
Ooh, if I have 10% in monster lore, can I roll 2?
Sure. You have to roll a natural one, but yes.
I know.
Hey, I have monster and demon lore.
Yeah. You go now. There are going to be penalties to this.
That's
now,
fun.
I can't say what the penalties are. You're just going to have to trust me because the penalties themselves might imply. So, yeah, you didn't succeed. But for those of you who have monsters and lore,
Joe.
okay, you got 9. Yeah, Doe. All right. How about Patrick here?
Okay. I succeed by 8, so I'm assuming
8.
no.
Yeah, and your assumptions are correct. Torpid anathema doesn't, to all three of your minds, it doesn't link to anything about any sort of monster, whether it is natural or supernatural.
Lavin says,
should I try?
Lavin says, I don't even know what torpid means. Torpor, whatever.
Oh, what's the penalty?
I can't tell you the penalty because it might be too, but just roll it and.
I got 11 out of 20%.
Oh, you did one better than I did.
By 9? So you succeed by 9? No.
Yeah.
I'm afraid not.
Damn.
Nope. Still same thing. Hey, but those of you who have American English and you're literate in it, roll it to teach Lavin what torpid means.
Oh boy!
I actually am literate, but
I know you're literate, but see now this skill check is how great you are with vocabulary.
Yeah.
All right.
Tom's got it.
Let me see.
Oh yeah, we're gonna say Tom has it. Tom, it's not a very well used word, but it typically means to be asleep or dormant.
Yeah.
But we may not know what it is, but we do know that they fear it. We can use that. They don't know who we are, why we're doing this, or where we're from. Even if they pin it on us, they don't know why we're doing what we're doing. If it comes down to it, there's nothing really stopping us from stating that we're here because this torpid anathema is displeased.
August says, I suppose that's one interpretation. The other one is that these folks are extremely powerful. We're talking about a mayor and a man who's very rich and who might be involved in black magic. He looks over to Lee. If these guys are afraid of this thing, does that not mean it is extremely powerful and could very easily kill us, in which they very clearly want to do now?
Oh, obviously, yeah. I'm not suggesting we do anything with it. I'm saying that we could use its knowledge to our benefit. It's simply the seed of an idea, but if we were agents of this anathema, that might give us some leverage. Not. I know, but they don't know that. They don't know why we're here or what we're doing, but they know that we're brutal and powerful.
I think they know a lot more than we do. That's a tough one.
They might know a lot more about this anathema than
we do. I think
August points to laugh and he says he didn't even know what torpid meant 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, I think bluffing at this point in time is not a good idea.
I didn't mean at this point in time.
He said it was a seed of an idea. A seed of an idea in Squeeze defense.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Sorry.
I would just be like, let me say it like this. If somebody walked up to me and said, I'm an agent of Tyrath, what would you say?
I mean,
sounds like
honestly,
a cool guy.
You want my honest opinion? If it's me, Tyrath is such a powerful being that I would take him seriously until I have reason not to.
We could just say, instead of being agents of the torpid anathema, we could say we are agents of the undying, the eternal, the everlasting.
Yeah. I think that hopefully it would never have to come to that, but it's something. It's a possible weapon if needed. We know something that they don't want anyone to know about.
Frank doesn't know anything about this torpid?
Actually, that's a good point. You rouse Frank from his hidey hole with Ellie.
What are you guys doing
when he's told this information from Yasmin, he gets very, animated, especially when he hears like the mayor and Sweet is involved. This once again reinforces the idea of I told you, powerful individuals. They work from the shadows. They manipulate. But this torpid anathema, he says that name has not come up in my research at all. The Order of the Lapine, perhaps, yes. Eugene Neal, yes, but this is something new. This wasn't on my awareness. No, but I'll start looking for you. I'll go through my notes now with this new information. I'll go through everything. I'll go through everything I got. See if I can't find any new links. Remember the number 7. Remember the number 7. That's very important to them. Very important to them. And he begins to mumble. And do you have any other questions for Frank Patterson?
Nope.
Okay.
No.
Then he will quickly scurry back up to the study in the Rhapsody, in which he can eagerly begin this research, in which Ellie happily volunteers to help him.
So, I guess the big question is, does any of this information change our current trajectory? Because there are a lot of things we could do. We could go after Sweet now that we are positive he's one of the big wigs. We could theoretically go after the mayor, though I think that's probably a bad idea. We could still go to this dinner, see if we can learn anything. This might be still a good opportunity for us.
I'm going to leave it up to the players. I won't have the NPCs.
My first thought, honestly, they don't know it's us yet. They suspect. But this tells us for certain that the information they received from the museum did not lead them to us directly. It might be worth going to this dinner just to throw them off and try and make them believe it's not us.
Yeah, that's
My
true.
gut says go to the dinner, but I have no nothing to back it up.
My gut says go to the dinner, but bring a piece. You know what I mean? Just in case.
Pie?
No, I'm talking about
like delicious pie.
No, like bring a gun or something.
I'm thinking if we
piece.
go to this dinner,
a piece.
I'm thinking if we go to this dinner, we better be loaded to the gills as much as we can subtly, because this could be a trap.
Well, I plan on getting loaded. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
In the middle of a fight, Lavin's like, "This is good."
Yeah, I don't know what loaded to the gills. You don't want to walk in with
He said as subtle as possible. Yeah, you're dressed in a dinner suit and you have a goddamn machine gun. I'm here for dinner.
But
Okay.
yeah, I agree with that.
Oh, we're not hunting live dinner? I thought this was this was like a catch it and eat it kind of thing.
Catch it and eat it sort of thing.
Do we want to go to this dinner before we move on any of this information? If we decide to, if we want to go approach Green or something else.
You only have about 3 to maybe 4 hours before you need to prepare for dinner.
I think we should go to the dinner and find out who the old lady is. I think those are the two biggest things we could do right now.
Yeah, that could work.
I agree. We need to decide now, though. If we're trying to throw blame off of us, we have to be very careful about pushing for questions about the old lady.
Well, just have Patrick spend a couple hours here, develop those films. When the dinner's done, we'll show Dex tomorrow or whatever. He'll know.
Yeah, definitely.
Or if she's there, we just introduce ourselves.
More if she's there. I'd be surprised, but I guess it's possible.
Yeah. I think it might be wise tonight to do anything and everything we can to simply be bar owners and nothing more.
Aye.
So are they coming here? Or are we
No, you're going there.
No, we're going there.
What are you over?
Okay.
Now, also, Patrick did see the ideas when you initially talked with them that, we could maybe help you out, to come as friends, not as competitors or a problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
To come as a solution, right? Because you're the ferocious five, right?
Good point. Patrick, what were you going to say?
That's what I was going to say.
Hey, sorry, Piffy.
I hadn't remembered that. That might even be a better way to go about it, because it'd be easier to do that than to pretend we're nothing.
Get more flies with honey.
Yeah.
Delicious, delicious honey.
So then we should decide now, what does the Furious Five know about what's going on? How much do we reveal that we know?
What's public?
We know that they were stolen from. We know the newspaper details about what happened to them. Let's just say we can even do some research now to see if we have any more information on it. And then go in with a mind for business and cooperation.
Meaning Lavin keeps his mouth shut.
What does torpid mean?
Stuff it with good food.
You can use it tonight. I'm going to eat so much food until I become torpid. It'll be great.
Awesome.
I think that's a good idea. Definitely.
Then I'll seem smart.
Yeah. Everyone likes smart people.
I think that's a great way to throw off suspicion while maybe getting more information too. Because if we are the ones that did this, why in the world are we trying to get them to hire us?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, no, I like that idea. I do think that we should, as subtly as possible, be sure that we are ready, because this could quite possibly just be them luring us into the house to kill us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
So, hey, Inferno.
Hey, Bird.
So, just to make sure, the black light blade, it just looks like, well, it just looks like the hilt of a sword with a gem on it.
Yeah, it looks like a hilt of a sword, and when you turn it on, there's black light. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. How easy is that to conceal? Like, is it big and bulky, or not that big? Or...
I don't know. Think of an actual sword hilt. What's the equivalent? The equivalent would be I'd say like a whiskey bottle. And people can hide whiskey bottles and stuff in their jackets and stuff.
Or like
drunks do it all the time.
Cross guard.
Yeah.
Like a lightsaber with a cross guard, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what's his face?
So it's possible.
Kylo wins. Kylo
So
wins.
actually, it sounds like you guys are looking to go to the dinner, which is great. So let's actually just dovetail right into this situation.
Yeah.
Obviously, you don't want to. You have the clothes. You have a whole wardrobe above you, no problem, right? So you can dress really nice for the dinner, right? The question is what you want to take that is concealable, because you're concerned you're going to go into a trap, obviously.
Well, first things first. Al's going to go up to Yasmin. He's going to be like, so...
she gives you back the blame.
Oh, thank you. And thank you. This was a huge help.
Of course, she says. I'm not going to be sitting idle while you guys have dinner. Their big question is about who that old lady is, and since we absolutely know nothing about the mayor, I think that's the next thing our little team can do. Dig up information from him. Anything that we can use. Whether it's dirt, whether it's just plain facts, whether there's something weird about him, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Is Julia, like, there, like, within earshot?
Yeah, of course, yeah. Yeah.
Al's gonna, like, turn to Julia and say, this is gonna take some getting used to.
She said, yeah, but I don't know. I guess I made the decision a couple days ago that I can't change what happened. I chose to go with you. And I mean, if this is some of the stuff that you have to experience, and you have experienced ever since you left the coalition, then, I can experience it too.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna have to stop seeing you as that little girl that used to rely on me.
Yeah, she says.
I'll get there.
If anything, she says, I think our roles are reversed. You always want to look after me. Well, frankly, and I say this with all honesty, Jordan, I'm looking after you now.
He'll smile. Good luck, sister.
Mm-hmm. Okie dokie.
What was Al's nickname again?
Fuckface.
That's what I thought. That's what I
thought.
Fuck
nuts. I'm sorry. Fuck nuts.
Fuck nuts. Yeah, that doesn't get thrown around nearly enough.
God,
Anyway,
why?
which the good news is, guys, the good news is, you know that I have not pissed her off severely yet because she hasn't had to say it.
Well, she's yelled at you a lot. I think she's just she uses more words like traitor rather than fucknut.
The harsh ones.
Anyway, yeah, the harsh one. But I was gonna say, okay, all right. So, well, you guys just take a moment, think what you want to take, and if you have any questions on, how well it can be concealed or anything like that, let me know. In addition, would you like to have a team NPC to be your backup, as per Dex's advice?
By backup, you just mean come with?
No, as in like literal backup. Either they're at the Rhapsody waiting for you to come back, or they're in the general neighborhood to bust in and kick some heads if you guys are in serious shit.
Gotcha.
Well, I may be a little biased, but if you ever need someone to bust in and kick some heads, I mean, Alicia is like a number one choice for that.
Yeah,
pretty much.
What I was actually thinking was have Alicia, Basilisk, and Ezex come in a separate car.
That is a good fuck up crew.
Yeah, come in a separate car, and in case shit goes wrong, they bust in, they bring the heaviest shit they have.
Okay.
And fuck
Alicia,
shit up.
they all really like this idea. They all really like this idea.
And the reason why I'm saying those guys is because you have Blink back here. You have Rose, or I can never remember.
Well, someone's still gonna have to.
Yasmin.
Yasmin. Someone's still gonna have to help run the club here too. So,
yeah, exactly.
So, the rest of the team NPC that is in those three, we'll fill in. August is gonna try to be bartender, which is gonna be really funny actually. And Yasmin will fill in for Alicia.
But can you imagine Yasmin, Blink, Lee as a home base defend this place crew?
Sure, of course. Yeah, no, that's excellent too. Yeah.
Cool.
You have like a bazillion friends now that you took with you. it's good to utilize them. I'm very happy. No, this is good. This is good. They don't take away from the story, but they add to it. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's an excellent backup team.
So this is going to be very similar to the graveyard, right? You have to declare what you're taking with you, just so you're not pulling shit out your ass for no reason, right? So you guys can take 10 minutes or so if you want to. And just let me know, and I'll be here to answer questions.
I do have a couple of questions.
Okay.
Involving mostly magic items. I believe you said the phase belt looks just like a belt.
It now see that's the interesting thing. Back on Rift's Earth and back in orbit when you acquired it, it actually kind of looked like a spacey type of elf. I mean a belt. But a spacey elf, isn't that like out? No, just kidding.
I was gonna say
I'm an asshole. I'm just kidding. But now in the Sable dimension, it has turned a little different. The majority of the belt appears to be a black leather, but the buckle is odd. The buckle is big and metal and blocky. It still has a bit of that, Buck Rogers type of look to it.
And I'm curious because it has been a very long time. Is it magical or technological?
Oh, it's absolutely magical.
Okay, I thought so. I just wanted to be sure. Because I was thinking of suggesting Lavin take it, but I don't know how he feels about magical things.
I don't want magical things making me walk through walls, no.
Well, I think one of us should.
He does it the old-fashioned way. He blows a hole in that fucking wall.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say, yeah.
He can just push the wall down with his robotic
I was about to say,
arm.
he has a fucking goddamn arm, yeah.
Yeah.
Though,
Graveyard gate.
Graveyard gate. Graveyard gate.
Yeah, to be fair, I still think it could be useful because we did just have a moment last session where it would have been very useful.
Dude.
Then you wear it.
The person who it deserves to be on right now, I think, is Al, specifically for that combo you were trying to pull off. If you had the phase belt last session, you would have been able to just walk straight through the wall invisible and defeat that guy fairly easily. So I think in your hands, because I'm pretty sure that Patrick can't turn invisible. Right?
That's a good question, Patrick.
No, I cannot turn invisible.
Okay.
Womp womp.
So
I'm
take
fine
it.
with that. Yeah, I'm fine with that. We also have the bracers of the moon and stars, which someone could wear under their clothing. And Inferno, I'm willing to expend one of its charges to find out how this works in Sable Dimension. It's normally basically it's those bracers that when you press the pearl, it gives you a 40 MDC protection.
Yeah. So it's the same thing. Well, no, actually, it looks a little bit different. It looks like almost like a miniature version of itself, where instead of a full set of bracers, it's almost like cufflinks or like something that you kind of put around your wrist. It can be put underneath the sleeve of a suit, no problem, right? But doing it still amidst the field. However, instead of 40 MDC, guess what it is?
Yes, DC.
Bingo.
Got it. All right, I'll mark the charges down to 21. I would suggest, honestly, unless you have an objection to it, Patrick, that you wear this because, as we have found out, you are probably one of the squishiest among us, and having a little bit extra protection is a good thing. And this might even help if they spew stuff at us, because you can't parry spew, but you can block it with a magic shield.
You can't parry spew. That should be a meme.
Nope. I think I told you before. I was like so ready. I was like, but I can parry.
Yeah. Oh no, you puked on me. Shit.
Yeah. But Patrick, what do you think?
Why'd you call me squishy?
Yeah, what are you trying to say? He's like a wuss?
You're soft.
Saying that your
You're
body
putting on
isn't
pounds.
Trained.
Is that a medical term?
I'm saying that your body isn't trained for physical combat, so you can't handle the severe type of wounds that some of us can. It's not a mark against your character. You have many strengths. This just doesn't happen to be one of them.
Yeah, don't worry. We still love you, Limpy.
Wow.
The limp is very subtle now. Getting up this thing, it's still there.
Yeah.
It is basically gone.
Yeah.
AK has 1 SDC damage on his leg.
To be honest, I still only have 12 SDC. But the big difference between Patrick and Tom the last time was Tom brought armor and Patrick didn't. So that could be an armor replacement. I have the Plastic Man armor from space, and I would be real interested to figure out how that looks.
Oh, god damn it. All right. I mentioned I mentioned this before when you asked me what the armor looked like, right? Because
Yeah,
you did.
like riot gear, right?
Something like that plastic one. Yeah. No, not quite like riot gear, but more like military gear. I know flak jackets weren't invented in the 1930s, but like your armor looks like something that soldiers would wear. That has like a helmet, but the helmet has a visor to it, and so on and so forth. It protects you from head to foot. Protects you from head to foot.
Not something you would wear to a dinner party.
No. Oh god, and it's not, and definitely not something. It's way too bulky to put underneath your clothes.
Yeah.
It might be something that backup crew might want to wear. But I'll worry about equipping backup crew. You said make sure you're armed to bear. I'm going to make sure they're armed to bear. I'll worry about them.
I want the backup crew to take Witchfire just in case I need it. As far as my stuff, I'm bringing my the armor that I brought last time minus the cap and the sunglasses. Okay. Just the underclothes and all of that, which looks like
that
a suit.
could fit obviously underneath your clothes. It's called underclothes, Inferno. They're long johns.
Yeah, they're long johns. I'm bringing that, and I'm just bringing the black light blade.
Gotcha.
That's all I'm bringing.
Right. So that can go in your suit pocket or wherever you need, no problem. Yeah. Okay, so that's Tom.
Al is going to. Okay.
I also think I'm going to bring the lighter that Giovanni.
Oh wow! Okay, cool. That lighter. All right.
Yeah.
The from Firebrand,
Giovanni,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Giovanni.
Oh
yeah, that was cool. I remember Giovanni. Obviously, I made him. Anyways, please continue, Squee.
Sure. Al's going to take the same Under Armour as last time, and I have been keeping track of the damage it's received. So
yeah, I trust you guys to keep track of ammo.
I assume we would need someone skilled in repairing such things. It's not just an easy.
No, it is definitely not.
I have some needle and thread.
That's not going to help. Yeah.
I'm taking that. I'm taking the belt. I am not going to be taking my plethora of knives simply because they go in like the long trench coat thing, and I have to imagine I would not be wearing that at a dinner party, at a dinner table. So instead, I'm just going to take sharp, and I'm going to take one of my blacklight knives, which since it's smaller than Tom's, I would assume it certainly is concealed.
Yep, definitely. Yep.
And I'm just going to hide those among my clothes.
Okay.
So the belt, those, and my PPE battery.
All right. Now, as we continue on with telling me what you have, do any of you have the concealment skill, right? Because that could really help with this. I mean, you can do it without it. Don't get me wrong. You have done it before without it, right? But if you're like really good at hiding shit on your body, that could be very handy.
Yeah, you want me to go ahead and roll that?
Yeah.
All right. I failed by 35.
Then I was gonna say if you succeeded, then if you ever were patted down, they would miss it, right? But now you're just like anybody else. I mean, it can't be visibly seen, right? But if someone gave you a pat down, they're gonna sense that something metal's.
Find my plastic dinner knife. I got it. Oh, also, because there's no reason not to bring those, I'm bringing the cool spy that's now a pocket watch, not a wristwatch.
Yes, pocket watch. Spy pocket watch.
And the surprise pins.
Oh yeah, the tear gas pens. Oh yeah, those could be really handy. And those are just fucking pens.
So I'll just have 2 of those in my pocket. You know, like they used to wear. They used to have just like 2 pins in their pocket, just like that.
Yes. Perfect. All right.
What is my stun gun in this dimension?
What's a stun gun look like?
Yeah.
It looks like a snub-nosed pistol. So it's compact, a snub-nosed pistol, but instead of where the barrel of the gun is, it's almost looks like it's been welded over, and like there's these 2 little kind of free free wires hanging off of it, and so you zap people with it.
I thought you were going to say, instead of bullets, it shoots a flag that says bang and they get stunned and surprised.
No. No. Although that's very funny. But no. It looks like, it looks like exactly like a snub-nose pistol, except instead of a barrel, there's a metal bar with some electronic doodads on it.
And I assume a smoke grenade would be very similar to what it originally was.
Yep.
Okay, I'm taking a stun gun, a smoke grenade,
Mhm.
also a couple surprise pens, also a
Okay, great.
keyhole or tube microphone.
Oh, cool. All right, that's handy. Yes.
And I assume I would have like an earbud or something for that, or I guess it would come in on my radio.
It would come in on your radio, yes.
Okay.
Cool.
And that's it.
All right. The only one that we have left is our good friend Patrick.
Well, since I have the gauntlets, that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to take my ring.
Okay, which one? Obviously the Moon and Stars one, right? Ring of the Moon and Stars? Cool.
Patrick would be wearing normal clothes in most cases.
Sorry, I glossed over the Under Armour as well.
Okay, all right. Okay. Yeah. No, great, wonderful, thank you.
Patrick's gonna need to dust these things off. His electric stun grenades.
Oh God. Okay. It looks like a grenade. Its effect might be different, but I don't think you want to detonate it and find out.
No, because I have no idea how to charge these.
Do I hook it up to a car battery? Okay.
I would have to do some dangerous things.
Mm-hmm.
He would take... He would take 2 of... No, 3. Yeah, take 3. Would he take anything else? Besides other things that aren't as important, like he would probably still take his usual like distance finder, some mechanical pencils, so on and so forth. His usual like miscellaneous bits.
All right, but no weapons, just the little miscellaneous things.
Sadly, a lot of his weapons are too big to conceal.
Well, yeah. That's understandable. No, I just want to make sure that you're not pulling a weapon and be like, yeah, that was my miscellaneous doodad. And I'm like, that's not cool. But you mean, mechanical pencils.
I have lots of knives if you're proficient with those.
I don't think
Thought I'd ask.
The pointy end goes into the other man.
Yeah, he knows how to do that.
I have an interesting question. One, do we want to take anything like the Newzoo stuff, like maybe the orb that can cover invisible things or anything of that nature? The water skis that we don't know what they do.
Maybe you shouldn't go to dinner with a pair of water skis.
Water skis? Yeah.
I know. I'm just looking
at
the
we were just out on the lake.
I'm like, we've never tested that stuff out. We really need to do that at some point. The vacuum cleaner that we don't know what it does.
Oh yeah, the vacuum cleaner. I remember what that does. That's
I remember us thinking that it might have something to do with exorcism or some shit like that.
It's either that or sickness.
Yeah, I can't.
But either way, I gotta
new
here.
suit.
Because there's no small little dust devils in the 30s, so I gotta imagine if vacuum cleaners even existed back then, it'd be a huge one.
Yeah, they do. But the very yes.
And another thing that came to mind, maybe not something to take with the dinner party, but something I want to bring up. Now that we are in a completely different dimension than those robots we used to fight, are we still putting Jackie completely off the table?
Let's not bring her to the fucking...
No. I just said not.
You're just saying in general, though. Maybe we can reactivate her.
Yeah, we can look at it, but not right now. A little bit later, I think.
Because, I mean, like, we're in a separate dimension, so maybe it might be worth putting her back on the table as our options again.
Yeah, maybe that was part of the robot's plan.
I like that.
Lavin is still really bitter that his buddy Z was an asshole.
Yeah. Yeah. But I like the general idea. It would just be real weird to show up. Hey guys, this is our pet squirrel.
Like I said, not for the dinner,
but we have forgotten about Jackie. Yeah. He's just giving us a happy little reminder.
Yeah, it's cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Do we want to take the orb?
What orb?
The one that shoots light everywhere?
Yeah, the one that, like, it could be used for
See, now that's the problem. Like, I don't know. That orb isn't small, you know. It's like a foot in diameter. Yeah, it's not tiny.
Not that. And
I'm going to see if I can conceal my grenades good.
Okay, yeah.
Guess other bits.
Let's take some.
Yeah, you can.
Wow,
yeah. You put them in like naturally looser places in your outfit where they don't stick out. Shut up! Fucking shut up, dude. Is this the you help strip Tom thing all over again?
Oh God!
Don't worry.
There was fan art made of that.
I know there was. It was very.
I can hide it in my soft body.
Oh my God! Or remember when these wonderful beings gave you a seed and you said, "Will you put your seed inside of me?" You fuckers! Why do I even try? All right. Anyway,
we like innuendo, but I have a question.
You know what? I've been on the other side of that too, so I know what it's like.
So we have magical mushrooms. Maybe we could spike them.
So much stuff. This is, when you guys go through your goddamn loot list, it's like a blast from the past.
Yeah.
Really
you know how long I use those freaking electric grenades?
I know, eh?
Yeah.
Right?
No, Tom, honestly, I was thinking the exact same thing. Spike their bowl with it. The thing is, the question is,
fucking how?
I'm all for. Well, not even that. I'm all for bringing one, but like, how advantageous? Like, don't get me wrong, it could be, but it would have to be pretty situational that them going into a dream will help us, other than in the immediate term. But I'm all for bringing one. You never know.
Fuck it. Let's not.
Okay.
Is there a mushroom in my suit? What? No. What? No.
Hey, Inferno. Is it cool if I name my holy blade?
Yeah, it's your blade. No! You can't have a name.
Okay, well.
Mine has the best name.
Oh, I'd like to bring one more thing.
Okay, what do you want to bring?
Some really, really strong liquor from the bar. Like 55%, something like that.
Coming with a gift. Okay, I like that.
All right. 151,
proof.
Does he have like a pocket flask? Does he have one of those like little silver flasks?
No, I want to give it as a bottle, like a gift. Like.
Oh. All right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just.
We run a bar, guys. We could show up with some booze.
Strongest liquors. What we got here?
Shine or
Golden Grain and Everclear. I'm gonna say that. That sounds classy.
Yeah.
Golden Grain.
Golden Grain. We'll do that.
Oh, I'm bringing my side battery because I need it. The necklace. Is that cool?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes. Okay, it sounds like you guys are all geared up, good to go. Am I correct in that?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So, my plan, my intention, is to narratively describe you guys getting over there and getting to the front door and having them greet you and continue on. Is that okay? We'll say Alicia, Basilisk, and Ezex are going to be in a separate vehicle. That'll be about about a half a block away. In the trunk is Witchfire along with some heavy artillery, and they'll be loaded for bear. And quick question: should they bust in? What's going to trigger them, right? Is it going to be something on the radio that they're going to hear? Is there going to be a signal, like a flash of light? Is there going to be a certain time if they don't hear from you? And they won't come in guns blazing, but they'll come and knock on the door and investigate. Like, what do you want to trigger off your NPCs? I mean, I can use their own common sense, but there might be a signal you want to give them or something like that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Tippy toe.
Tippy toe banana. Listen, Ellie or Mila or whoever you are channeling right now.
Well, I mean, you just listed the obvious stuff.
Yeah.
Also, like, if the house is on fire,
yeah,
you know,
like I
shit's
said,
going
forget
wrong.
the common sense stuff. I mean, like,
yeah.
Do you want to do radio signal? Do you want to do a time? Like, if we
definitely, we can easily do both radio and time, but I definitely want to put down for time on that one.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, time
so,
seems good.
how long should they wait? 2 hours, and then come look for you.
If we do time, we do need to have a way to call them off. We don't know if maybe what we need to do will take more time.
Maybe it'll be a very large amount of time, like 4 hours. Right?
Yeah.
I can use one of my keyhole microphones and just have it on me and active, so they can hear everything.
Oh shit!
They have to be within
1,000 feet.
1,000 feet, though. Yeah.
They could be within 1,000 feet.
They're in 1,000 feet. That's fine.
Sure.
Okay, well, there you go.
It should be pretty obvious if something bad is happening.
Yeah.
Like, we can leave it up to their better judgment, or if we say,
help, I'm dying.
Well, I mean, we can always have something. We can always have something a little more subtle, like we could
pineapple.
Say pineapple. Yeah, I was gonna say pineapple or something, which is just a word that probably wouldn't come up in conversation. In case, the idea of thinking we need them to bust in the door.
There. At a place
I said like
where well, Patrick would still say, yes, but hopefully it'd not be food at a food table.
How about say Tyrath?
No, I was like, I understand. I was using it for reference. I don't think that we're actually going to name food. But yeah, something like that in case we need them to come in while still maintaining our facade.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's the code we're going to be?
It should be something just completely out of the ordinary that you just wouldn't normally say. So how about
fuck nut.
No.
God, every fucking time.
I'm never gonna forget that.
Why was that a thing?
Don't ask me.
How about
Okay.
Gosh, I don't know. Just something simple and very out of there. How about dragons? Just mention dragons, and that's the keyword.
Why not Rhapsody or something like that?
Well,
no, because that's the name of your club.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of a word that would
Rhapsody.
not... Yeah, I'm trying to think of something that wouldn't immediately send them...
Twilight Covenant. Do you know what that's a reference to?
I know what that is, but
yeah,
that's not something that comes in every day of the week.
Yeah.
True.
Because that's the reference to the first ship that we were traveling on before we got the Rhapsody.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay, great. Easy peasy. All right, so we got the NPCs all set. Am I good to continue?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, you guys are all dressed, all cleaned up. You have your story straight. So off we go. Woo!
Lavin's not that clean.
Well, cleanish.
Oh my god.
Cleaner than Ezek's.
Yeah, well, God, that hobo across the street is cleaner than Ezek's. All right. So, the sun begins to set as you embark in your vehicles and drive out towards the estate of Angus and Rose Mackenzie. And as you drive down along the east side of the town, you've driven past some pretty highfalutin places. After all, Frank Patterson, he lived in quite the estate, although it was more posh townhouses. This is when the lands really start to open up. And this is when entire tracts of the city are owned by individuals. And one of these tracts are owned by the Mackenzie family. Driving up to this wonderful curved driveway, you are greeted by what appears to be perhaps servants or valets of the Mackenzies who happily direct you where to park your vehicles and escort you to the front door. A variety of electric lights light up the large courtyard, and you can see in these evening lights how well prepared their estate is, beautifully landscaped with a variety of statues all over the place. Entering the front door, arriving at the front door, it appears another servant is there to greet you, and he asks you to wait by the front lobby, which is just right here. Wait, am I on the right layer? Yep. Wait at the front layer for Mr. and Mrs. to arrive. You do so. No one, for the record, nobody searches you, nobody pats you down. In fact, nobody does anything other than treat you with dignity and respect. Every person that you've interacted with speaks very, very well and are very respectful. Sure enough, down the left side of the barricade comes the figure of Angus Mackenzie, and to his right is his wife, Rose, that rail-thinned woman, who's dressed in this kind of long, elegant evening gown. However, on her very slight, twiggy-like figure, it hangs a little bit. Let's just say that Rose Mackenzie is not as young and voluptuous as some other women who've worn such garments. Mr. Mackenzie, Angus Mackenzie, is dressed in a tuxedo with the bow tie, black suit, and the tail along the back. He calls down from the top of the balcony. He goes, you've arrived, and just on time. That's wonderful to hear, as he and his wife walk on down. Well, I see you've found the place. No problem. First of all, I want to thank you for accepting our dinner invitation. We still feel awful about what happened at the antiquarian, and hoping this little nice, wonderful, informal get-together will kind of heal those wounds we're feeling, he says, as he looks over to Rose. He kisses the back of her hand. Rose Mackenzie, although Angus is smiling and cordial, she seems to have a more, I wouldn't say stoic, but passive look on her face. She tugs Angus a little bit on his arm. He bends over to listen to her, and she whispers a few words, and he goes, oh, yes, of course, dear. You go ahead and make sure everything's top-notch. I'll entertain our guests for a little bit. We talked about showing some of our personal collection, and I'll do that while you make sure dinner's all set. With that, Rose leaves out to the east side of the front entranceway. Angus looks to each of you, and his eyes soon fall on the bottle that is in Lavin's hand. Oh, what's this?
Oh, just a little something we brought from the bar for you.
Oh, well, thank you very much. You didn't have to, but I can see you were definitely raised with proper manners and etiquette. This will be wonderful. Shall we serve this as a part of the beverage for tonight? Or
Sure, but careful, it's a bit strong.
Oh, you don't know me very well, but us Mackenzies, we can hold our liquor. But thank you. He snaps his fingers and gives it to one of his servants. hanging by the door, and he says, "Make sure this is served. Should this properly be chilled or served warm, Mister?"
Out of character, I don't even know what kind of booze.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, yeah, good point. He says,
Lavin says the right answer. I work at a bar.
Lavin says the right answer. I'm sorry. I'm getting too into character. I realize you don't. I made this liquor up. Maybe you don't know. Anyways, he says, "Wonderful." And he gives the instructions to the servant. And he goes, "Oh my goodness! I just realized with that interchange, I don't have your proper names. Oh, well, that will make a very awkward evening if I don't know what to properly call you."
Name's Lavin.
Lavin. Do you have a last name, or are you one of them mysterious types?
Planter.
Planter, Mr. Planter. But I'm assuming you prefer Lavin.
Yes, that will do just fine.
And you can definitely call me Angus. We'll be good, fast friends, so there's no need for great formalities.
Perfect.
He looks over towards Al.
Al says, "Oh, well, everyone just calls me Al, but I suppose my full name is Peter Weinstein." And he'll shake his hand.
Oh, if your name's Peter Weinstein, then why do people call you Al?
Oh, it's a nickname I got in medical school. I don't quite remember all the details, but...
Oh, where'd you study?
Sorry, unfortunately, I believe the university's closed now. It was very distant from here. We are new to the city, after all.
Oh, yes, so I've heard. Well, shall I call you Al, or is that too familiar?
No, that is more than fine. I prefer.
Very well, Mr. Weinstein? Weinstein, sorry. Weinstein, is that of Hebrew origin?
Yes.
Oh, wonderful, he says. And for a moment, he tilts his head to his side like you surprised him a little bit, and then he goes over towards Tom.
Hi, I'm Andrew Brown.
Once again, Andrew will be sufficient?
Yes.
Wonderful. And he heads over to Patrick.
Oh, Patrick Kinsman.
Mr. Kinsman, Patrick. No nicknames, though. No Patty or Pat or anything like that. Patrick is fine?
Yes.
Good. And I see the lovely lady will not be joining us tonight.
No, unfortunately, she ate something that isn't agreeing with her.
Oh, well, it's probably good that she stayed away. We're going to have some classic Scottish cuisine, so hopefully she feels even better. Well, enough of all this. Follow me over to our parlor, in which I have a few interesting implements that I'd like to show you. It will still be about half an hour or so before dinner will be ready, so I hope you're not too hungry.
Not at all.
No, I'm delighted to see what you have to show.
Wonderful, he says. And he, sure enough, leads you down a few rooms and to this image in the bottom right-hand corner, which now won't let me ping for some reason. You know what bottom right-hand corner. He says, can I offer you a cigarette or a cigar or anything of the sort?
I'll take a cigar.
Oh, wonderful. He gives a cigar and takes out a lighter and lights it up for you. And he says, I think I'll save my cigar for after dinner. Nothing like having a nice cigar and a cup of tea afterwards. Besides, we'll have lots to talk about, I imagine. As you can see, and I won't go too far into character in regards to this, but Angus Mackenzie will entertain you by showing off a few items that he has great personal pride in. These are busts of ancestors of his own, and he spends the next few minutes explaining, how he got over to this country, how his family was robbed of his estate back in Scotland, how they were accused of being horse thieves and kind of run out of the country. Of course, all of it was a bunch of hogwash, but thankfully, his great-grandfather made the best of the situation, became an entrepreneur, and he's here to, harvest the goods of that. He speaks of great pride of these personal effects, and it's clear that most of the stuff in the room has some sort of link to himself or his own ego or his own family, right? You don't see anything that really sticks out, that links to something that you saw before. There doesn't look like anything else from Eugene Neal's artwork. You don't see anything that resembles the old woman or the mayor or any other personnel or Miss Johnson or anyone else that you've met. These are all the paintings themselves are dour Scotsmen and women, pretty much, in antiquated clothes. Yes, Patrick.
I would like to know if any of these pertain more towards him or the particular family. Main question is, how is the wife portrayed in all of this?
The wife isn't in a single one. Not a single one. You see a few images of himself, but not in, which is really interesting because there's a few wonderful oil paintings of his parents and his parents' parents, and it's both the husband and wife, right? But in this one, there's one that he said was done a couple years ago, and it's just of him. Rose is nowhere to be seen.
Did he say where he met his wife?
No, he hasn't brought that up, but you could ask him.
No, Lavin wouldn't do that.
No. All right, but yeah, in his long meandering about his personal marriage or anything like that. Once he's done in regards to that, he says, "Well, come, let's sit down in the parlor room for a little bit and have a little conversation before dinner, because I don't believe in mincing words. Last night you mentioned possibilities of helping me, and perhaps we can be away from, the walls have ears," he says with a bit of a smirk. But I'll send the others away, my assistants, my servants, and we'll have just a very nice, pleasant conversation. Do you guys follow him?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Sure.
Okay. All right. He leads you over to the bottom left-hand corner, a wonderful, well-decorated lounge, and there's enough seats for all of you. Angus Mackenzie makes sure to put a ashtray underneath by Lavin's seat as he sits back, and he says, "Well, after the awful events over the past few days, I've thought long and hard about your offer last night, and I guess I should ask is, how would you be able to help? I'm willing to take help any way possible, but how would you be able to assist?"
Well, I mean, we have friends in the police force. We could probably put in a good word.
Do? Oh my goodness, you're very well connected. You said you were newcomers, though, weren't you?
Well, it's one of the worst kept secrets in the city, but you're obviously a distinguished man, so I'm not going to
Thank you.
Insult you by maintaining it. But we are seen as the Furious Five. It's a name that we're not exactly fond of, but you are given what you're given, right?
Yes, we can't control our names, just as my ancestors couldn't control being labeled as thieves. I suppose you can't control the nicknames that were given you. But from my understanding, and you have to admit, I deal with a higher form of society, but there have been some rumblings. Aren't you some sort of vigilante group? Well, I guess they did work with the police, but didn't you, aren't you crime fighters, for lack of a better word?
It's a bit of a generous and romanticized definition of it, but the short end of the story is that when we came into town, there was the gentleman going by the name of the Gin Baron who was causing...
Oh, yes.
Well, there is a problem, and we're very good at solving problems. That's really what we are. We're problem solvers.
Well, from my understanding, the Gin Baron was an insidious and awful man. We had a bit of a display of him over at the antiquarian, you know. It's too bad I won't be able to show you, but I guess you know more about the Gin Baron than I do. Well, I suppose if you can catch one criminal, you could probably catch another. What would you need from me in order to assist you?
Well, obviously, the more information, the better. However, the truth is, and why we were gentle in our approach, is that a man of your nature, of course, is a man of privacy and may not be so quick to give information to people.
To mere strangers who he met a few nights ago. Yes, I understand.
Exactly. But if we are to be a help, then there is information we would need to know. Otherwise, we would just be, what's the saying, spinning our wheels and not going anywhere.
Yes. Well, I can say we've been open and transparent with the local police force, so you do not have to worry about that. But you're right. I do not trust easily, but I have a feeling that as our relationship grows, as we get to know each other, as we socialize a bit, I suppose I could open up and important information could be revealed. Most certainly. You never know what little tiny fact might lead to a capture, right?
That does tend to be what does it.
The small details. That is very true.
I once heard of a case being solved by a man telling the detective what size his shoes were.
Really? I don't know what size of shoes the perpetrator or perpetrators might have been wearing, but I see your point. A small silver bell can be heard. No, I don't know if you know it's silver. Sorry, a small tingling of a bell noise.
That sounds like silver.
I'm a bell connoisseur myself.
Actually, I'm pretty sure that's brass, sir.
Yeah. Wait. My silver senses are tingling.
And I think it has a dent on one side.
No, 82% purity.
Oh my God. Okay. No, I get it. I deserve it. Funny. So a small bell can be heard, and Angus' face lights up. He goes, "Oh, wonderful. Well, now you can stop listening to me braying on and feast yourself into some wonderful Mackenzie hospitality. Please follow me," he says. And do you follow him?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Should I put my cigar out?
Yes. It will be very difficult to smoke and eat at the same time.
He's trying to put food in one side and smoke out the other side of the mouth.
Makes me think of that picture of Kramer smoking
with the beer.
A cigarette while drinking a beer. That was
I don't know how you do that.
He's a great physical comedian. Anyway, enough about Michael Richards. He leads you over to, in this little lower center photo, a very nice, long, classy dinner table in which he and his wife sit on opposite ends, and the rest of the rest of the seats are in between the two ends. Angus sits down with proper etiquette, puts his napkin on his lap. Rose is also there. I don't know why I want to call her Iris, but I should have called her Iris, but doesn't matter. Rose sits opposite of him. Once again, not an angry or stoic look of face, but an impassive one over towards her husband as he invites you all to sit down.
Al will take a seat.
I'll sit.
And say something like, is there food on the table yet? Or...
No, not yet.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
And once you take a seat, Angus gives a very satisfied smile and he takes a small bell that's that's seated next to his plate. He rings it up and he says, for our main course. And sure enough, 3 servants bring out your main dish. And it is, now, this isn't black and white. Don't freak out. What you see is still in black and white.
Okay.
It's just a colored photo.
I'm expecting like monkey brains, like Indiana Jones.
Oh man, it's not monkey brains. It is layer. It's grouse. It's grouse with quinoa.
Wait, grouse or grouse?
Grouse.
Grouse.
Grouse. It's a bird. Unless it's pronounced gross, and I've been saying it wrong this entire time.
No, it's grouse. It's grouse.
I'm fucking with you.
Oh, fuck you. All right.
Delicious.
Yeah, it's gross, and it's just as you see, with a wonderful prepared small bird with I guess you could say veggies or leaves, and this wonderful small kind of grainy quinoa. But as the plates are put before you, Angus asks, "Oh, of course, drinks too." He says, "Oh, Michael, I'll have the 13 Chinois, please. And you, dear?" And she shakes her head from side to side, goes, "Oh, I guess she'll just have water this evening. You know Rose, she's not as much of a drinker, even in front of company. And how about you folks? We have obviously Mr. Lavin. Lavin's fine gift here, but we have a wonderful array of wines and liqueurs or coffees and teas. Whatever you prefer. I personally think a good Scotch or a wonderful white wine pairs wonderfully with grouse."
I'm sorry. I'll just have water. My constitution has never been fond of alcohol.
I see. Not a problem. The rest of you?
Scotch on the rocks.
Wonderful. I might join you after my chinois.
I'm interested in your teas. Is there anyone I should try?
Well, definitely not something heavy like an Earl Grey or green. Perhaps a bit of the King's Own. Yes, King's Own. I think that'll be very nice. Mild, light. It'll go well with the taste. Have any of you had grouse before?
No.
Yes.
You have? Oh, so you'll understand, Lavin, that it's a very nice tender meat, but it is a little bit gamey. So that tea, that King's Own, will pair very well with that slightly gamey taste of the bird.
Do you hunt these yourself?
Oh, I wish. I used to back in the day, but these are only found back in the old country. So unfortunately, someone else had to hunt them, and I ordered them in on an ice box. These are very seasonal, so we're all very fortunate to be enjoying them right now. You, Mr. Brown. Andrew, that is.
Good. I'll take a glass of wine. But one glass.
Pardon me?
But just one.
Sure, just a single glass, of course. May I recommend a nice white?
Sure. Sounds
wonderful, good. Wonderful. He says, "I think the 23 will do quite well for the young man." Yeah, good, wonderful. And with that, the servants leave, and they come back with the drinks. And he says, "Well, are there any... if there's any religious individuals, I suppose we could say a bit of grace, but I'm the type of person who sees a wonderful bit of grouse in front of him and wants to just simply dig in."
I can respect that.
Good. Well, bon appetit, as the frog eaters say. And with that, he begins to eat and chew and all that good stuff. And I'm just trying to think if there's any interesting conversation topics. Is there anything you guys want to bring up to the Mackenzies as you're dining?
Yeah, Al at some point would be like, "So what exactly made you or helped you decide to get into the museum business?"
Oh, Well, that's an excellent question, says Angus as he cuts a bit of the leg and pops it into his mouth. He chews it several times before swallowing. I suppose, well, there comes a time in your life where you can, where your money has to be put towards not just making more money, but into things that you really enjoy. And I've always been very captivated by history, ever finding out whatever happened to my family. I was interested in other stories, and my interest soon expanded out of the Isles. But one thing that always got me were local stories. There are thousands and millions of stories that happen in Velda City amongst all other cities every single day. So, although I like to think of the grand and the historical, I like to also think of the humble and the artistic. So that's why we put up the Antiquarian, a wonderful museum for the grand histories of life, and also a wonderful segment in which local flavor can be shown, both licit and illicit. He takes a little bit of a spoon of the quinoa and puts it in his mouth. Oh, I hope everything is to taste. If it is not prepared correctly, please let me know. I can assure you we can get it prepared done. If it's too tender or too well prepared.
I think it's delicious.
Oh, good. The rest
It's
of you
fine, Levin says as he moves all the quinoa to the side and
just focuses on the bird. Okay.
Al's like thinking to himself, this food tastes far too good for dicks. Like he's got that thing of these people are bad, but this is actually really good food.
Yeah, no, and sorry, I don't want to completely bias you guys, but it is, although it does have a bit of a gamey taste, like he said, it is very good. It looks as good. It tastes as good as it looks, pretty much. Yeah.
Sweet.
No other complaints from any of the other players? You're content with it? You're not gonna throw it in Angus Mackenzie's face?
Oh no, I'm content with it, but I do want to say that I'm not entirely sure if Tom has had classes on table etiquette.
Oh,
so
no, absolutely not. Not growing up. No. So you probably all make a few faux pas.
Yeah.
Yay.
I wonder if there'd be a reaction of that. Not from Angus. He's too jovial and pliable. But this is what it'll be. This will be what happens. We'll use Tom as a great example. He uses the wrong fork, right? And so for a little bit during the dinner, while Angus is chatting with Al about why he got into the museum and the antiquarium, you'll notice that Rose keeps looking at you and like staring at your hands. And after a few minutes, you hear her give an audible sigh. She stands up. She stands next to you. She plucks the fork out of your hand. She puts it to the side of your plate, grabs the other fork next to it, puts it in your hand, points at the plate, and sits back down at her chair.
Subtle.
Angus gives a bit of a chuckle. He says, "Oh, I'm sorry. Rose is a very stickler for manners. But of course, etiquette is very important. Unfortunately, it's going down by the wayside today. But please don't take any offense. We're just trying to better you. You understand?"
I see.
Patrick nods.
Sorry.
Al says, "You'll have to forgive us. We aren't used to some of the finer parts of society. We're learning."
Oh, well, yes. I guess through some of the experiences you've had, I can imagine you don't get to have a fine meal such as this very often. Well, I certainly hope it won't be your last, and we'll share many meals like this in the future. It's okay if I kind of move dinner along a little bit.
Yeah.
And then Angus says, "Now for my favorite part, dessert. We have a wonderful shortbread for you all." And he'll ring another little bell by his side, and sure enough, servants will come out with a bit of the plate. And there's one of these wide, wonderful metal dishes of these wonderful chunks or cookies of shortbread cookies, right? And Angus happily takes one, drinks his wine, finishes up his wine. He gets a second glass, drinks that too. And do you all indulge in the shortbread cookies as well? Both he and Rose are very eating these very vigorously. At this point, Angus rings another bell a little bit, and sure enough, a cup of tea and a cigar, a wrapped cigar, and an ashtray is brought towards him. And he'll gesture and say, "Would any of you care to join me in the cigar?"
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, but no.
Good. Oh, fair enough. We'll get one from Mr. You've never? Well, this would be a horrible time to start, says Angus with a wide grin on his face. And you, Mr. Kinsman? Patrick?
Oh, I have also never partaked.
Well, it is an acquired habit, I will admit to that. And with that, sure enough, a rolled cigar will be in front of Lavin along with a small set of matches. Angus will unwrap his and roll it between his fingers and put it into his mouth, and he says, now, I think we can be done with many of the pretenses and really enjoy a nice, relaxing, and open conversation. And with that, my players, I'd like you to all roll versus non-lethal poison.
Yay!
I don't like this game.
Sorry. Spiral.
You laugh. Holy shit.
That was just so blunt. I don't like this game anymore.
I did it.
I rolled the wrong
That's
thing.
a wrong.
Wow, Squee!
Amazing.
So good.
So
all right, who succeeded and who failed?
Lavin and Squee failed.
Succeeded. Lavin and Alpha.
What's the, like,
I'll let you know.
what do you need to
It's
have?
16.
Usually, yeah.
Oh, brutal.
So, yeah, it's 16, but it's non-lethal poison. So, Tom and Patrick, you don't feel any different. Lavin and Al,
Mm-hmm.
you feel funny, a little lightheaded.
Do I get a bonus for not eating quinoa?
Pardon me?
Can I get a bonus for not eating the quinoa?
No, it wasn't in the quinoa, my friend.
Damn it.
It wasn't in the quinoa. But, sorry, another evil laugh there. You feel a little lightheaded. You feel but you don't feel sick. You feel kind of drowsy, kind of really relaxed, very passive, and out of character. You've been drugged, and you are more prone to tell the truth. It's not a guarantee, however, right? It's a similar drug as a truth serum, except it operates a little bit differently. Even though you failed, this is what happens. And obviously, you can choose not to talk. But if you want to answer, and you kind of feel like, these are nice people, why not answer their questions, right? Whether you tell the truth or a lie can still be resisted. You can either use your physical endurance, your PE stat, or your mental endurance stat, your ME stat. Tell me which one you want to use, and times that value by 3. Okay? So what's your PE stat, Al?
They're both the same. So
okay, great. What is
14.
it? What's the value? 14?
So it'd be 30, 42, I think.
Yep, 42. So you'd roll a 1d100. If 42 or less, you can still lie, right? Mm-hmm. If you get above, then you have to tell the truth, right? That's the truth serum. right?
And we are more inclined to answer their questions.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, because these are nice people. You feel good. It's like you've been drugged.
Got it.
Now, what's yours? What's your ME stat? What's your PE stat? Lavin?
I got 21 endurance.
Wow, that's good. Looks like they drugged the right person.
63, yeah.
So yeah, if you roll a 63 or lower, you can resist it, no problem.
Okay.
So after poking this cigar in his mouth, he'd say, "So, tell me, when Rose and I were trying to get a hold of you last night, where were you? We waited for a few hours."
Having some drinks at the bar, actually. Different bar.
Did you roll a D100?
No, we were having drinks at a bar.
Yeah, that is true.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay, fine.
You win this time, players.
You win this round. It's gonna get more intense than the lightning.
Where were you really? Like,
No, come on. Me and Angus are craftier than that. Give me a break. Oh, at a bar. Oh, which bar?
I don't remember the name. That's some divey one.
Oh.
You guys remember the name?
it was real lowbrow. We were talking to a friend of ours.
Oh, I see. Okay. He rolls the cigar a little bit, and it looks like him and Rose are like looking at all of you like very carefully, very cautiously. The mood has definitely shifted. Not
yeah, Patrick
insidious-
has like
yeah.
tilted his head like this is an odd question.
He says, "Oh, well, we're trying to get to know each other. Trying to establish trust. So, I was trying to get a hold of you last night. You weren't around. What time did you arrive at the bar?"
Oh, maybe 20 minutes or so before we came to see you. Oh, wait. Which? I'm sorry. Which? Actually, no. That's just how he would have answered. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. I know. See, I know what's the truth and what's a lie. So.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
I'll have you roll.
As a player, I was confused which bar he was talking about.
Night
if
Owl.
he was referring to the other bar, then that's
Hey,
not
our
what I
bar
would
is not
say.
a dive, Al. Come on.
Yeah. Okay. So that's not what Al would have said. I was wrong on the one. He would have said. He would have answered truthfully. I don't remember exactly what time we showed up, but he would have said truthfully what time.
Okay. He goes, "Oh, I see. Well, we were there at 8 or 8:30, isn't that right, Rose?" And Rose nods, giving out like a wide smile. He goes, "Oh, where were you around 8 then? We waited so patiently."
Well, I think you guys are gonna have to roll, or me or Patrick are gonna have to answer.
See, here's the tricky thing.
Yeah.
If one of them tells a lie and one of them tells the truth, then you guys are in trouble. You know what I mean? So,
the tricky thing in this situation is, and certainly wanting to be completely fair about this, is who answers. There's four of us.
they're asking everybody, and we're not sure who answers.
Yeah.
you guys decide. I don't care.
Uh,
Just don't be assholes and have the
Right.
ones who conceded roll all the answers. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Patrick would actually go, "I'm sorry, must have not gotten the message and we cleaned up. So, does this have anything to do with our business? I'm sorry that we were late, but..."
Oh no, it was just curiosity, says Angus with a big smile. Just making conversation.
Yeah, we were just taking care of business at the time.
"Oh, is this he says, and making sure there's no servants or anything around, your vigilante business?"
Something like that.
"Oh yeah? Well, maybe you could tell me. Do you know where our stolen property is.
What stolen property?
The ones
you know.
that...
Yes, what was stolen? Of course, now, come now. You can't be, connections to the police department, you were telling me. Taking down the gin baron. Surely you read the newspapers.
Yeah, Patrick, yes, I actually read up on what was taken.
Well, he read up on it. I didn't.
I was really surprised you guys had so much money in your vault.
Yes, says Angus with a small smile on his face. Yes, that is, I could see how that's peculiar. I would give a portion of that money to those who didn't you? How much did you feel by?
Exact success.
That's exact success. I have a 42.
Exact. Yeah.
Yeah,
Al
so tied
goes-
to the defender.
Yeah.
Al goes, no, we have no idea where any of it is.
Oh, it's too bad. I'd be willing to give a portion, as as a reward. So you keep saying you're from out of town. Whereabouts? Maybe I know someone from there too.
Chi-town.
Michigan.
Michigan. Wait, are we in Michigan? No, you're not Michigan.
Well, you asking where it's from, right? Michigan?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think that's
yeah,
where Levin's from. Is that
Yeah,
what
it
it's
is.
called in the Rifts universe? I can't remember.
In the Rift universe, no. I mean,
Like, what's that Ishpeming
oh,
area?
Ishpeming, yeah, Ishpeming.
But what's the country called? Like the land, or because I'm not from Ishpeming.
Yeah. There's the Manastique Imperium, and I'm pretty sure it's the Kingdom of Ishpeming.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I'm from the Kingdom of Ishpeming. There you go.
I'm from Chi-town.
Shot. Ooh. He says,
Patrick just looks over to Al.
Al looks like he's done nothing wrong.
Yeah. This is a really good cigar.
Thank you. Yeah, I pride myself in them.
Do you need to know where I'm from too?
I'm just curious. I told you where I was from. I'd like to know where you're from.
Well, I'm from a place called Greencastle. It's off to the east somewhere.
I lived pretty close to Al.
I see.
You did? Oh, I guess you did. Yeah.
We're learning so much about each other tonight. Rose grabs, snatches one of the other shortbread cookies and begins eating it, almost angrily. Like she's really biting into this thing. Angus notices this a little bit. Well, enough of this getting to know you type of thing. More on the business. Do you suppose you'd be willing to look into what happened at the antiquarian for us? Track down our belongings? Would you be willing to, and if you were to find them, would you be willing to return them to us?
Oh, we could probably take a peek.
Take a peek?
Not all of them.
Not. No? Says.
What?
No, says Angus. Not all of them.
I'm assuming he means the money.
Yeah, it's probably
Is
been
that
spent already.
Is that what you mean, Mr. Planter? The money?
God, I can't roll and save a life.
Can't have truth your way out of this motherfucker.
Well, no, not just the money. There's just, we like some of it. I like some of it. I think if I got my hands on it, I'd be inclined to keep it.
Oh.
What are you saying, Lavin? What the shit?
What was this? What are you going to say, Al?
Yeah, like when Tom's like, "What are you saying, Lavin?" Oh, I think he's talking about the statues.
Oh. See, now this is really interesting in character because I'm sure, this is so funny because Al's like, let's make sure we're all on the same story. And now we don't know he's drugged. So now Tom and Patrick are like, what the fuck are you doing?
Oh, man. Oh, Patrick would then go, you say you're going to steal from them?
Did you? Did you steal from us? Mr. Weisenstein?
No, I didn't steal from you.
Of course I didn't steal from you. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh, of course, ridiculous. But you do have an interest in the statue. Why is that?
Well, old legends with
Hold on.
and
I
he's
wanna talk-
you're interested in old legends. Mm-hmm.
One of my close companions just said that he would steal. Give me a second. He then just turns to Al.
Please, says Angus, and he leans back in his big chair, and he looks like the cat who ate the cream. He couldn't be happier at this. So he lets you flounder about there a little bit. Go ahead.
Patrick just sits there in bewilderment. So, not only did you say, you just said you were going to steal from him, and you told it to his face?
Well, wait a second. Al never said that.
You said you would keep it, you wouldn't return it.
No, yeah, Lavin said he would keep it.
But if I got my hands on it, I might have to keep it.
All Al said is he was talking about the statues, and when asked if he stole it, Al said, "No, we didn't steal anything from you."
Sorry, say who said that they would? No, Al, you definitely said that he's probably talking about the statue.
Yeah,
right. But I didn't say anything about stealing it.
I'm talking
about a future tense of Lavin said that he would not take, that he would keep some more things. You said the statue, and that implies that you meant that you're going to keep the statue.
No, you're going to find it and keep it.
I was just saying, I think that's what Lavin was saying.
I meant the statue.
Yeah.
So just give your fifth degree over to Lavin.
In response to your query, Patrick,
exactly. Yeah,
Lavin would say, well, it's not really stealing. It's just if I happen to get my hands on it, I'd probably not give it back.
What the shit, dude?
Well,
and at this point, Angus stands up. He wanders over to Lavin. He goes, "You like that cigar? I can get you plenty more." And he takes the chair next to Lavin, and he sits right next to you. And because he can smell blood on poor Lavin. And he says, "Oh, Planter, do the others here feel the same way as you do? That if given the choice, maybe even if I let you, you would give me, my money back and a few other items that were stolen, but you would keep that statue. Does everyone else feel that way too, do you think?"
I don't think anyone here would give that statue back to you.
Oh. And with that, Angus
I'm
gives
sorry,
a big
guys.
smile. No, that's okay. That's okay.
Man, these rolls
It was
suck.
a trap. It was a trap, but it just wasn't the trap you were expecting. And Angus, looks Lavin in the face, sympathetic, goes, "Oh, I understand." And why, Mr. Planter? Why would none of you them want to give me back the property that was
I swear to
stolen?
fucking Christ.
I'm giving you a chance, dude. You can't say I'm not giving you a chance. The dice fucking hate you.
Yeah, I know. I love it.
This is going to be so cool.
Look, the only thing better than succeeding epically is failing epically. I'm all for it. Let's do this.
Man, we're gonna have to fucking kill these people. We're gonna have to burn this fucking mansion down. We're gonna... God fucking damn it.
From we have to kill them and burn this mansion. You know that's your answer to everything, right, Tom?
He's a burster.
So?
Do what you know.
I'm sorry, but I'm just thinking of all the people you've killed and shit you've burned down, and that is a trend.
Like I say, he's a burster. Do what you know.
Okay. Anyways,
Eleven's response is, well, it's no good if we only have some of them.
Oh, yes.
Levin's wondering why everyone is glaring at him.
Yeah, you're having a good time. You're answering his questions. This is remember, Lavin. He wants to get the plan was to get his trust. What better way to get the trust of this person by, telling what he wants to know? This makes perfect sense in your poor drug-addled mind.
Lavin, Al's not glaring at you.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks, buddy.
Okay.
Glad you got my back on totally screwing us over.
Totally got your back on this, bro.
Okay. Well, sit down there, enjoy that. With that, Rose gets up, and there are some windows along the side, curtains, and she begins to close the curtain. As Angus goes back to his own seat. And he says, well, this has turned out exactly how I had hoped. I was worried. My friends said you are extremely powerful and extremely dangerous, and I'm certain that you all still are. Which is why I am suggesting something. Have you heard in history, since we're speaking of history, the concept of two armies fighting against each other, making each side bloody and spreading misery? And both sides realize if they continue, they might win, but it'll turn out to be a Pyrrhic victory. That is, a victory that has just too high of a cost. So, do you know what they do? They issue a white peace. Do you know what a white peace is, my friends?
Maybe not familiar with the term.
Let me
I
educate
understand the
you.
general strategy.
You've been so truthful with me. I'll answer that. A white peace is setting things back exactly the way they were before the war, in which both sides end their aggression and everything is back in its place. Territory that was taken was returned. Villages that were captured are returned. Everything is reset. That, yes, Lavin.
No, I was just thinking ahead what I'm going to say. Go ahead.
Okay, and so is Al, too.
Yeah.
Oh, this is amazing. Oh, God, I love directing you fuckers. All right. In which Angus says, so, this is what I am suggesting. In fact, imploring. In fact, really hoping you'll see the sense of. Return us our statue. Just give it back to us. Stop this stupid escapade for whatever reason, and we have no interest in pursuing you or attacking you or harming you. We just want what's ours back. Is that really so much to ask?
Lavin, you want to go first or I?
If I knew where your stuff was, I might be able to help you. I mean, I thought that's what we were having this dinner for.
Al would lean forward and he would say, like, quite casual, he'd be like, oh, like I said, I'm from Chi-Town. We don't believe a Pyrrhic victory is such a bad thing.
Oh, I don't
Coalition.
Jesus fucking Christ, guys!
They'd be willing to slaughter many of their own people to achieve a victory.
Patrick just sits there and goes, "Am I dreaming? Is this a dream?"
No,
Okay,
I'm afraid,
Tom will get up. Tom will get up, go over to Patrick, and just push him a bit. So he sits in the chair. Where he's sitting in the chair and he pushes him to try and wake him up.
Yeah, like he's
then
trying
he'll
to shake
say,
him awake.
Yeah, try to shake him awake, and then Tom will go, "Okay, you do me. This has to be a dream. This is bullshit."
Oh no.
Patrick punches you in the arm.
Son of a...
Guys, you're behaving rudely in front of our guests.
Exactly. Don't be rude. Remember etiquette. Rose loves etiquette, as do I. I'm a little bit more lenient.
Al actually like looks at your mouse like, "What are you doing?"
So, but am I to believe this, Mr. Wiseman, Al, if I may? You're not willing for a white peace? You want to continue and even achieve a Pyrrhic victory in this? Are you certain? Do you all believe this?
No, I was just trying to. Al just trails off.
Just trying to do what?
Well, it's not going to be a Pyrrhic victory. It's just going to be a straight victory for us.
Yeah, that's. I was trying to make you feel like maybe you still were in control here.
Plus, it's not like we have a choice.
What do you mean you don't have a choice? Angus asked. And at this point, he looks very surprised.
What?
This place is great. You know what? By the way, this is Spiral's last game. He's never playing with us again.
Hate role play.
Lavin says, "Well, we have to get home. And so we can't give you a Pyrrhic peace, white peace, whatever."
Just like you have your masters, we have ours. And we have no choice in the matter.
Oh. Angus gives a bit of a smile. And he says, and here, I was very worried. But it seems that we're actually, and I don't mean this in any sort of actual pretense or deception, we are actually very similar, are we not? You have your masters that, by the sounds of it, you're very afraid of displeasing. Is that correct?
No.
Lavin, nice. That's good, Lavin. That's good. No.
I'll have to roll for that one.
Yeah. I know. It's great.
Al says, no, we're not like you at all. We don't raise the dead. Use them for evil means.
Al, shut your goddamn mouth. I swear to God.
There's no point.
Al looks at Tom confused.
There's no point.
You know what?
Says Angus, the cat is right out of the bag now.
Yeah, this might be better. Maybe you can help us with our particular situation.
Yes, and maybe you can help me with my particular situation. The point is this. If we both have powerful associates, individuals who give us an important task, one is to take the statues, and one is to preserve the statues. In my case, it's to preserve a particular statue. I don't understand exactly how we can help each other since our goals are just so different. Hence, my suggestion of a white piece.
Wait. Wait.
Yes?
Gonna roll again.
Fucking roll again.
No, maybe it's
What
truthful.
We actually don't need to keep the statue. We only need to borrow the statue, I think.
No, it's true. We just need to borrow the statues.
But for what end? Listen, we all know what the statues lead a person to. Hmm?
Yeah.
Why are you asking?
Well, okay. Let's be completely and utterly honest with each other, okay? Since you talked of a graveyard, it's very clear that you, Ferocious Five, are indeed the individuals who are causing our order so much problems. And our order, the Order of the Lapine, which you know, because you took it from the antiquarian, did you not?
Yes.
Ooh,
Mhm.
ooh. Hang on. No, we didn't.
But he just said yes. So
I'm
going to go with it.
Okay, he's right. we
I'm
did.
going.
I cannot tell a lie.
Okay,
Al's
you got
trying
me.
so hard.
I know. He's trying everything. This is amazing. So now the people who burned down the EXE stop working. So he says, all right. So then since you're the one who broke into our very expensive safe, that we are of the Order of the Lapine, which you may or may not know, but I think you do since you took our correspondence as well, is tasked with guarding a very important, very precious, and very sacred in some circles artifact. The reason why we protect the statues is to ensure the secret. So we can't let you know the secret, you understand? So I really do think it's best for everyone if you just give it back and leave. That's all. Give up. It's all right. And tell you what, this will be even, I'll sweeten the deal. Now, I cannot speak for everyone, but I can bring your case to those above me. And if you really are afraid of fighting another force stronger than you, who insists on retrieving this item, maybe we'll pool together and we'll fight it together. Because if he'll send you and fail, he or she or it might send others. So maybe the real enemy is your boss. And maybe we should all fight him together. Or
No.
or them. No.
I don't know why they're blathering out all this stuff, but I will say this.
Oh, it's because of the drugs I gave them.
What? You drugged me?
Yep. Yes,
But
of course.
see,
That
like,
gamey
a nice
paste was a
person.
wonderful mask of the pharmaceutical additive that my lovely darling wife gave me. I had the antidote, a blocker to that in my wine, but you unfortunately drank different things.
Al goes, but you seem like such a nice person.
I know, but you have to understand, I didn't do this because I hate you. It's because there's intense pressure to find out who you were. And I figured this was the best way. If you were innocent and you told me the truth, which I knew at least some of you would, then, or hopefully all, then you've been innocent and we will left you to your little rhapsody. But the inclination that you were involved somehow, and this was the best non-violent way in which to get the truth. So now you've been outed, but that's fine. We've been outed too. We're still at this impasse. And I and my lovely darling Rose really don't want to see any more bloodshed. It is just so messy, and the entire organization does not like mess. you'll soon learn that in this place, everyone needs to blend in. It's very important.
Yeah,
Why?
I've always... okay, maybe you can clear up a few things for us.
Well, that depends, says Angus with a bit of a smile, on our resolution of certain things. I'm less inclined to help you if you don't want to help me.
But you're killing so many people. Don't you care about that?
Of course we do. Listen, young man. We didn't start this. You started it. Did we start just randomly killing people for just the fun of it? No, we did it as a reaction to your theft. What do you mean?
Well, we didn't kill Hugo.
Well,
yeah. Or that guard at the graveyard. What you did to him. That wasn't necessary. None of that was necessary. But you know, I don't think you're such a nice guy after all.
You get a +10 to your checks, Al.
Oh, yay! Al's morality to the win.
But Angus says, no, you're not following my logic. This was done as a reaction to your actions. If you just left the damn statues alone, we wouldn't be here right now. They would all still be alive, you understand? What we did was a reaction. We're preserving something important to us. You're trying to take it. This is some very strange logic you're using. The point is that I really do listen.
No, that's terrorism. You say do what we want, or we're gonna kill some people. That's just terrorism.
No,
I mean,
it was an extreme reaction, but these are extreme circumstances. You see, this isn't you just calling Maud ugly and then I reply by murdering you. This is life or death stuff. You understand? And Mr. Planter, I could have sent you here. I did lead you here on false pretenses. I admit that. But I could have set this trap much more violent. There are others in this organization who aren't as moderate as me and my wife. You see? We're here having a discussion. No weapons have been pulled, no violence has been threatened, and no horrors have been revealed. The big question is this. Do you want the horrors to continue, or do you want them to stop? I want them to stop. Still not enough, Al? There you go. But I haven't got it finally.
Oh, man. Al's going to say, that guy at the museum, if you tell his family that you murdered him, and you turn yourself over to the police, maybe. But you tell his family to their face that you murdered him because someone stole a statue.
I didn't murder. Why do you think I murdered him? I didn't murder him. Why would I? He was my friend. He understood the consequences. He wasn't a member of the Order of the Lapine, but he knew it was important. Yes.
Then who killed him if not your order?
I assumed you did. You killed him and robbed him.
Wait, which guy?
That's
why
I thought you were logic. Hugo Montoyes.
You guys didn't kill Hugo? Because we didn't kill Hugo.
We didn't kill him. He was alive when we left.
He seemed like a perfectly good guy.
I mean, he was stealing money from you, but other than that...
Stealing's a hard word.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, he had his indiscretions. We understood that. He may have used that to make him a little bit more pliable to our needs.
There was also no money in your vault. And we didn't kill Hugo.
Huh. Well. I find it strange that you would admit to stealing something very, very important, yet lie about the murder especially the drugging, so I'm inclined to believe you. Well, I most certainly did not kill him. So...
Then your masters did.
Maybe you people you're working for don't trust you as much as you think they do.
Oh, you see, that's a funny thing about trust. It has to be earned. And that's what I'm trying to do right now. I've gotten me and my lovely Rose there. We've gotten ourselves into a lot of trouble. And, well, I'm afraid there are some fates worse than death. And I don't want the Mackenzie line to end just yet. You understand?
Yeah, in that case, really, you should be helping us. Because it sounds like if you don't get this statue back, you're dead one way or the other.
And
Oh,
they
I'm
weren't
not
talking
dead.
very happily about you.
Or worse.
Graveyard this morning.
Yeah, that's true.
They were saying, your masters, which let's lay it on the table if we are, because apparently I can't if I tried. Sweet, the mayor, some old lady
Awesome.
at the graveyard this morning, talking about you and sounding very displeased.
Well, that just reinforces the fact then. I understand, but see, now this is... we were talking about warfare and white pieces. Well, this is what we would call a tipping point. My involvement might influence either side. The problem is I know the Order, and I know their capabilities, and I know what they've gone up against before. No, as tempting as it is, as powerful as you are, maybe be. I have to go on the horse that I know. It's a tempting offer, but this is what I'm thinking. If I don't do what they say, I'm dead. If I help you, we're all dead. No, you keep saying dead like that's the end goal. I'm assuming, since we're all being very truthful with each other, you were also involved in that recluse, Patterson, our little nemesis, eh, Rose? And Rose gives a bit of a nod and a wicked grin on her face. You were there as well.
Right, you're going to be one of those horrors. That's what they'll do to you.
Exactly.
And how long?
Exactly.
How long until you become one, no matter what you try? Because sooner or later, you're going to fail at something. They're going to get fed up with you, and that's what you'll become. So you pick that horse if you want, but just know that you're going to start counting your life by years, maybe months, because no one's perfect. And sooner or later, you will piss them off, and that's what's in store for you. Do you honestly think you'll die peaceful in your bed?
I do, actually. We've had the statue for over 10 years, and it was 2 years ago in which we were given the Order of the Lapine. We've got nothing but reward and praise and influence. This is the only time the teeth have been shown, and I think I understand why. We all took a vow, you see. We serve powerful people, even Sweet and Pole Hill and the old woman.
So I guess ethics isn't really your thing then, huh? Because, you're working for the bad guys.
Bad guys? We're preserving a fundamental way of life, an important secret. We're preserving dangerous power that can't go into just anyone's hands. If you call that immoral, then I guess...
And the ends justify the means, huh?
You're murdering innocence. Nothing you say, no pretty words you use will change the fact of what your order did to that guard in the cemetery.
Yes. True, I suppose. Well, there's no point in putting blame around. And I truly I've been truly hoping you'd be able to listen to logic. Because I personally, I'm not much of a fighter. I don't want to force or threaten you. But
why not?
this might be what has to happen. You'll leave, we'll agree to disagree, and you'll leave, and I promise you'll leave unmolested, completely and utterly. But then what I'll do to my masters is that they really want to know who you are. And that information that I give them, that I myself managed to find out, me and my lovely Rose, of course. Didn't forget about you, Rosie. And Rose stops snarling for a moment. And when I say snarling, I mean like literally like dog snarling for a moment, in which Angus says, and that should be enough to preserve my life for at least long enough until you end yours. So I'll still be keeping on for at least a little bit more, but you'll be even in worse danger. You understand? Or you don't leave, and we have our white peace. You've tried to convince me to go over to your side. I just don't think it's going to happen. I'm sorry. I understand it, but I'm more afraid of them than I am of you.
Add a character, because I hesitate to make such a massive thing. I'm thinking of saying Twilight Covenant.
Well, I mean,
because
can I do something cool cinematic? Well, before we because I want to say Twilight Covenant too, but I want to.
but keep in mind the idea for Twilight Covenant is to maintain the charade until they get here. Not to say Twilight Covenant once the fireworks fly. Otherwise, that's
a good point.
Why bother though?
How about we just walk to the end of the table and knife this guy?
Because
that's what I'm thinking.
Because
you can't tell anybody it's us if he's dead.
But
that's
because he expected this was a possibility, which means it's not just a matter of knifing him. I'm sure we are in his lair.
But I want to play knifey spoony squee.
Okay, I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying that completely defeats the whole purpose of saying the Twilight Covenant word. Just say, hey, Alicia, come
hold
kick
on.
ass at that
Hold
point.
the fuck on. We had that as a backup in case we need it. But I think things have escalated to the point of we need to deal with these people now. And we should just deal with them instead of holding up a pretense for a few minutes and then having the guys rush in. They can just rush in when they get to the
fucking game.
When they get to the door.
My thought is they're like 300 feet away. We don't know what we're facing. I'd rather
they're like
here when
750 feet away. They're within 1,000.
Oh yeah, right. Sorry. Exactly. They're a ways off. A lot can happen in that time. I feel more comfortable if they're here when shit goes down, because we have no idea what we're up against. But
actually, to be fair, now I can't confirm this for sure, but they heard all this stuff on mic, so they know shit went down.
That's true.
Maybe they're not kicking down the door right away, but there might be a good chance that they're closer than 750 feet away now.
I will say, if you want to do something cinematic, and if you guys are okay just doing it now, look, I'll roll with it.
Right.
I've already.
All right.
We actually lose the element of surprise by calling them in and having like a doorbell ring or something.
Yeah, exactly.
We could casually get up and start walking around the table, and then just when you're behind this guy, just.
I have an idea.
Just explode him.
I have an idea. We're going to be ending the session right around here, right, Inferno?
We are.
Okay, so let me just do this and try and make everybody happy.
You go for it, Burn.
Okay.
Yeah, go for it. You know what?
Does he die? Because he drugged me, and I don't like that. He drugged me and lied to me.
Tom
I feel so used.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Tom is standing up, flabbergasted, and he will turn around and ask one last time. We're not really into this white piece. We're more into we call it a Twilight Covenant. Why don't we come to an agreement? All we need is the golden rabbit. We'll give you back whatever statues you need, and that will make our master happy, and we will leave. We will not be here anymore, but we cannot leave as much as we want to until then.
And if I may ask, if I refuse to do this Twilight Covenant, what will you do then?
Whatever we have to.
Whatever we have to, yeah. Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to reach into his jacket pocket and pull out the hilt.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, I was worried about this. I told you I wasn't really much of a fighter, and that's true. Rosie, she likes to get in a good scrape from time to time. But even then, I didn't want to risk it. I do love her, despite of what she is. But let's just say I wasn't entirely truthful. And maybe I didn't kill Hugo, but maybe Rosie did. And maybe I drugged your food, which I did, but maybe I added something else in it too. And maybe, if you kill me, you'll never get the cure. So why don't you put that stupid sword away, and we can talk like adults. And with that, I'll end the session.
Damn it. I wanted to turn on the sword. Fuck.
No, yeah, I was gonna say, come on, let's kill him. Patrick and I can find a cure. It's fine.
Yeah, we can find. We have access to magic.
Yeah, he doesn't know what you guys know, right?
Yeah.
We have the loot, the lie, whatever it is, the thing that can remove disease and poison and stuff.
It's true.
Twice a day.
We do.
So
the liar.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, but I don't want to start a fight now.
No. I agree. I'm just saying. Don't worry. Just stab him. It's fine. I've screwed up enough tonight.
Yeah, we don't want to fight with my rolls like this.
Yeah, I was about to say, you gotta shake it off.
Bad.
Dude,
you gotta shake that shit off.
You need to go somewhere, drink a whole bunch of coffee, get sobered up, because you've been drunk rolling all fucking night, dude.
Yeah, it's been awesome.
I love this. I wasn't I didn't know exactly what was happening. I knew what his tactic would be, right? You guys could have all saved, and then it would have been a very awkward conversation, and he might have just left with nothing, and your original goal would have happened, right? But he had the plan to drug, or you guys could have, I don't know, done. It doesn't matter. This is still extremely interesting.
Something we should consider, use this as a learning experience, that because I think in the back of my mind somewhere I thought about what if they poisoned, but I guess I didn't really explore it, obviously. But in the future, we should look into, see if there's ways to beef up against such things, protect against such things. We don't
cybernetic
have
stomach.
like that, but yeah,
that's my plan.
Actually, cybernetic stomach actually does do that. It filters out that shit all the time. It's great.
Yeah.
There's
got to be stuff out there like that does it.
Yeah,
I know there's spells that will cure it once you.
If Patrick was in his golden armor, he'd be fine.
Yeah.
Yep. But that's
and going in there with a gold piece of armor I didn't have anymore would have been the perfect plan.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. That's gone. That's in Fairyland now.
Yeah.
Ferrybot land.
Same thing with the Mystic Power Armor.
Yeah. That's
cool.
All
right.
I tell you, the Ferrybot, Z, and now these guys. I hate
that Ferrybot wasn't so bad. That Ferrybot was like a Ferengi. At least
he basically
you got something out of the deal that worked. That's actually really cool.
And he upgraded our engines too.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about.
Well, we also got information, so we got two things out of it.
True. Yeah, you got two things. You got double your pleasure.
Anyways.
But yeah.
Thank you guys for watching.
We'll wrap up the session. We'll see. This is great because this is like a film noir of what will our heroes do next? Find out next week on
Stab
our
him. Yeah. Spoiler, stab him.
Yeah. Take care, everyone. See you guys next week, Sunday, for another episode of Riffs. Also, don't forget to check out 3 Galaxies. Things are popping off every Wednesday. Bye.
Pop, pop.